I mean, yeah, my voice is terrible. You're correct.
Hello, and welcome to episode 188 of Flix and the Six, a thickly settled podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo. With me, forever and always, the man, the myth, the geek, Alessandro Bielsi. Say hello, Al.
I was born for this.
On this week's episode, we've got Obi-Wan, Winning Time, Studio 66, and much, much more, all before diving into our flick of the week, Nightmare Alley. But first, Al, what are we drinking?
Just for the record, it's Studio 666.
Oh.
3 6s.
What'd I say?
You said Studio 66.
Interesting. It's so funny. There are certain parts of the show that I feel like I completely black out when I do them. And it's mostly the introduction and the close, right? Because the close, I'm just on autopilot and also most likely half asleep. Because we do this pretty late.
Yeah, we're starting at 9:15 tonight. And this is going to be a long one since we missed a week, which almost always leads to us having very long episodes. We will surely not be done with this episode before midnight. So,
sure.
Yeah, usually there's some combination of exhaustion and alcohol that will cause one or both of us to be on the brink of falling asleep by the time the outro plays. At this point, it's interesting.
And for the intro, it's like a hodgepodge of a script and what we've done 187 times. Yes. So it's like I am just doing it, and then I glance to the portions of the notes that I have that are like fill in the blank. It's like Mad Libs. I basically have a Mad Libs that I set up
template, yeah,
right. But it'll throw me every once in a while. But anyway, I read that part, and I couldn't tell you if I said it right or wrong. Actually, if you listen to last week's episode, there's a point in the post show where we play Wordle where you asked me if I said my name wrong, and I had no recollection of what I said. It's very possible I did not.
Okay,
for the record,
I don't remember. That sounds vaguely familiar. I didn't listen to this past week's episode, so I haven't had that recollection. So I would be curious just to catch that one bit to hear if it sounded like you mispronounced your name, or did it just get garbled because the internet fucked up for a second?
Probably a little bit of both. I was probably slurring by that point, tired slurs, and then we do have the occasional hiccup on account of recording remotely. I will say though, and I've said it before, we do a good remote show. The quality of the actual audio that we put together for a podcast is far better than some places that are spending actual money.
Which is incredible because, we both have pretty solid mics.
Yeah.
But I record in a very open space that is not acoustically tuned.
Sure.
And you said to me right before we started recording, oh, the last several episodes, my air purifier has been running in the background.
Yeah. It's silly. I had something that I was going to go into at the beginning of this show, but that came up last Wednesday when I thought we were going to record, and I've completely lost it, which is why I ask again, what are we drinking?
Oh, it's okay. So we're drinking another one of the Litmus Test Newburgh beers. This is Volume 5, Berry Delicious. As all of the Litmus Test ones do, it has the little scientist with his crooked mustache.
Love it. Wonky eyes, too.
Yes. He's got googly eyes.
This is what Winston likes in a woman's breast.
That is a deep cut. It's great because it's the berry one, and it's got the periodic table sign with the atomic number 5 for volume 5. It's got the BR like Breaking Bad for bromine, but in this case it's for berry. It's berry, blackberry.
In this case, it's for berry. Also, the 5 is pretty great. Yeah.
Also, I wasn't expecting 2 Breaking Bad references already tonight.
Sure. And a third on the way.
Oh, yeah, at least. Berry, blackberry, berry, raspberry, berry, strawberry, berry. I mean, blackberry, raspberry, strawberry. It's we have kind of one of those word cloud things.
I like
for
it.
Litmus test.
I was actually obsessed with this while you started talking.
Juicy, fruity, refreshing, tart, berry. There's all sorts of like the symbol for an atom, H2O. There's all sorts of beakers and Erlenmeyer flasks connected to some sort of like a distillation process. There's
Two beer glasses clinking.
yes, there's on the kind of like major machine thing. There's this little logo that's a heart, but on the one side it looks like a beer. And it's because
so clever.
it's the Newburgh Brewing Company's logo,
It's
brewed with heart, which I don't think we've ever noticed before.
Wow.
We also had above that word bubble thing. There's like the models for like the. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
The models for the like molecular like modeling, I guess, for the chemical composition of this beer. It's from the Sour Ale series. It's 12 fluid ounces. It's 4.5.
I heard Sour Al series, and I want to have a new segment about things that Al is just sour on.
Is this like
have like a rant?
Is this like Peter? What grinds my gears?
Yeah.
The
America. Fuck you.
It's the Sour Al series. Well, last week, just the entire movie conversation was probably the Sour Al series. So
fair. Oh man. There is a lot going on in this can.
Yes. It's funny because some of the Newburgh cans are very Spartan in design, and some of them are just bursting with things going on.
Hold the phone.
What?
This beer was not brewed here.
Yeah, the litmus test ones don't have the picture of the brewery or the Hudson River. So
interesting. Oh, look at this little bow tie. I don't think I ever noticed his bow tie before.
It's the same. It's like salmon colored along with his pants.
Yeah, I dig it.
You want
to? Great. The great aesthetic on these beers.
Cheers it up.
Wow, my glass has this logo on it. It's a heart.
Oh my god!
No,
I always like to do the Newburgh beer with my Newburgh glass, but considering our remote recording is happening at a further remote location as I'm in the apartment, I do not have a Newburgh glass present. So
I usually serve my Newburgh beer up in an alternate ending glass because grass.
It's all right. I just did that with my last sentence too, so we're on even footing here.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It cheers.
Your clink was better than mine. Mine was too quiet. I was afraid of spilling. Oh yeah.
Holy moly.
It's good.
That is. That's good. That is a blue warhead. Like 100%. Like there's no mistaking it.
I think it's a berry, blackberry, berry, raspberry, berry, strawberry, berry.
Definitely a strawberry berry. Berry, blackberry, berry. Okay, I see it now. I realized that the first I got it.
Yeah, it was in like relief, like underneath.
I like it.
I have had this beer before. Obviously,
my goodness, they're sour.
It is.
This is an extreme. This is a warhead extreme.
I picked up a 6-pack of this. I obviously gave you one or two. It sounds like possibly accidentally, maybe. I don't know.
I have like a strange feeling that you brought them to me at different times and maybe didn't realize you had brought it to me yet.
It's possible. But yeah, I had whatever was left of that. Actually, I might have even bought a case of this one. I don't remember, but it's pretty delightful.
It's good. I mean, it's sour.
This beer would be perfect for like 3 days ago when it was 65 degrees and not today, which it was snowing.
Yeah, that's true. It was. We got up to like 74 at one point.
Oh wow. Yeah. It wasn't quite that warm here. It was like high 60s, I think, the other day.
I have a serious question that I'm going to need you to look into for me. Warheads. You remember Warheads, obviously.
Mm-hmm. I actually had one not that long ago.
Nice. This was what this beer tastes like. Warheads. I was picturing the little package, right?
Mm-hmm.
The little guy's head exploding, making a sour face. And I remembered it says something on the bottom. I couldn't remember what it said, and I looked it up. It says extreme sour, and it says it in a way that would have me believe that there are other variants.
Like Loki?
Like, yeah. Not to be confused with low-key sour and sour. But am I crazy? I've only known this. Are there other variants of warheads?
Well, there was like you had said earlier, wasn't there like the extreme warhead or whatever?
It says extreme sour. And that to me, I'm looking at but it's the one oh there is another one called Smash Ups Extreme Sour. No, I can't seem to find one that's just Warheads. So
I'm looking at a picture right now that looks like the warheads of old.
super sour. The hell is this? Warheads plain. Warheads original cut. OG sour.
Wow.
Yeah, they all say something ridiculous on them. Man, candy was like a thing. Like, just I loved candy at one point.
Yeah, I mean, candy's good. As with all things, though, you kind of reach a limit on
Sure.
like how much candy one can eat. Sorry, I was a little distracted because I was trying to send you a picture of all the warheads. I sent you a picture of all the warheads.
Well, now here it says the original Mega Warhead, sour, and then the flavor underneath. It doesn't say extreme sour, so I guess there are varying degrees. But this one says the original Mega Warhead, and then the one that says extreme sour doesn't say Mega Warheads above it. So I don't know. I don't know what to. Maybe they rebranded at one point.
It's possible. I was wondering if did they do like it was the mega. Well, here's Warhead Sour Twist, which like it looks like basically gummy worm type things, but
Huh. I see those. Interesting. Sour jelly beans. My goodness. The related Google search images at the top are extreme, the word extreme, blue raspberry, tongue, challenge, logo,
I'm sorry, what now?
and powder. Yeah. It's just a person sticking their tongue out.
That doesn't really track.
Anyway, I used to love Warheads. And this reminds me of the blue one through and through, and I'm all about it.
Yeah, I mean, it tastes like berries and it tastes like sour. It smells delightful. It smells
It does.
incredibly sour. It's a really, really good sour beer. I'm firmly 3 thuckles with this beer.
I'm with you. 3 thuckles all the way. No surprise that Newburgh brought it, as they do. I haven't had a sour in a while.
I think we did it on the show maybe a month or so ago.
Yeah. I found a place nearby that I'll have to take you to next time we see each other in person.
Soon?
Hopefully soon, yeah. A couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
Actually, maybe we'll stop there before the Oscars, even though we'll have to do a little bit of whiskey. They have, I mean, this is just an absolutely tremendous beer selection. And it's like, I don't know how I went this long without really knowing about this place.
It's a store?
It's a liquor store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a liquor store with just an incredible beer selection, and they actually in the front they have like a double fridge with that's like they break it down in pretty good sections. It's like local stuff, and then from here, from there, and like you'll see the same beer in a couple different areas if it fits different categories. But they have like a whole sour case that you can go in that has like all sorts of funky sour stuff that you could try.
Nice.
So we'll definitely pick some stuff out to do on future episodes for sure.
It'll be good. We can buy a bunch of mix and match right there.
No, they sell a lot of singles too, which is nice. So if we can just like pair up the ones that we want.
Yeah, that's definitely more economical.
Pretty sweet. I really like this beer. I'm kind of glad that there's another 12 ounces of it waiting for me for when we get to our flick of the week. Al, let's get into some news and nuggets.
Sure.
You have a lot of news and nuggets.
I do. That's what happens when we take a week off.
Yeah. You know what? I'm pretty diligent along throughout the episode of timestamping so that it makes my life easier when I go to edit.
Naturally.
I say pretty diligent. I'm pretty diligent from news and nuggets on. For the past, 20 episodes, I just have not logged to the time that we start talking about the beer. And I have to go find, and luckily it's not that big of a deal because it's early in the show. It's pretty easy to find. I usually have the start time marked because I start recording beforehand. But for whatever reason, I cannot, for the life of me, remember to timestamp when we have the beer.
You know what it is? It's because we typically start the episode with a tangent.
That's true.
That's what it is.
And we're just in the zone.
Yes.
We're
just riffing. We're riffing. We're doing what we do best.
Just. Oh man, Al, I want to start.
Yeah, tell me where you want to start.
You know I want to start. I want to start with the one news that's going to blow this all out of the water, which is the Obi-Wan trailer that you dropped on me out of nowhere. Mid busyness, peak peak busy moment of my day, and I was like, well, I'm dropping everything for this.
I'm sorry. I was hoping that was going to be like, as like the workday tailed off to the dinner with the wife and child point of your day, because it was like 5:30 in the evening or something like that.
Somehow it's always busy now, always. And but that was a nice reprieve. My goodness, I was like, first off, whoa, didn't know I was getting a trailer today. That was exciting.
Backstory: a couple of days ago, there was a bunch of reports out that there was leaks of like a scene from Obi-Wan, maybe some like set photos, or possibly like a whole scene like that was just released online.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing that prompted the release of the trailer today, because I didn't hear any rumblings of like expect a trailer this week.
Sure.
So I think, okay, shit, someone got something out there. Let's just drop a trailer.
Right.
Obviously, they must have had it ready.
Cut already.
I'm sure they didn't scramble to cut it. I'm sure they had it.
Mm-hmm.
We're planning on releasing it at whatever time for whatever reason. And they're like, well, now's as good a time as any because people are talking about it, so let's do it.
Yeah, and they gave us a date of May
25th,
25th.
I believe we've known for a while. It's funny. I was talking to Brian earlier, not Brian Rooney, me and Dominic's friend Brian, and he asked me, and I was like, I don't remember. I was like, but I feel pretty certain that around the time that Book of Boba Fett was ending, they said it was in May sometime. I just couldn't remember the day.
Yeah,
but May 25th did ring a bell once I saw it at the end of the trailer. So
same. That's so cool. I mean, that's another one like. May will be just around the corner. Like it's a few months out, but it'll be here in no time. And then all of a sudden we'll have this sick.
Yeah, it's 2.5 months.
Obi-Wan
10 weeks
limited series to watch, which I'm really pumped for. I also I like they set my expectations by calling it a limited series of like this isn't going to just keep going on. This is it. We're probably just going to get this little jam, and that's
exactly what makes sense. This is obviously an extrapolation on what they were planning on doing, some sort of standalone movie in the vein of like Solo, a Star Wars story, or Rogue One.
Right.
And whether it be because they didn't want to bring it to theaters, or whether it be because they had trouble cutting it down to a 2.5 hour script, and they're like, we have more story to tell than that. It's like, okay. I mean, honestly, it was probably a bit of both of those things.
Yeah, because it feels like I was saying to you earlier, like it feels like this is probably going to be like the equivalent of like a two movie bit, or like even a trilogy, if depending on how long these episodes end up being. Because if they're like an hour a piece, like I mean, you've got an easy trilogy like right in there.
Or even if it's, call it 45-ish minutes at a time, right? Like it's it's enough for about 2 movies. So
yeah, like 2 lengthy ones.
like. And I think maybe this is the way that Star Wars in general should be going. We talked about it a few weeks ago with the end of Book of Boba Fett as part of a larger conversation about where Star Wars is at with regards to television versus movies versus video games and novels and comics and what should be in which format. Just start pitching story ideas and mock it up, and whatever comes out is like, oh, this would be a kick-ass movie. This would be super cinematic as a trilogy, or 2 movies, or 4 movies, or this would be great as a one-shot limited series, or I think we could do 4 seasons of television on this topic. Like, there's no need to feel like you're hemmed into a particular like vehicle. Like, just do what makes sense for the story you want to tell. Focus on the characters and the stories, and let the vessel build itself around that.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a really safe way to do that.
And also, like, like just call it Star Wars and then the subtitle, whatever it is. And if it means if you end up doing a part 2, part 3, great, do it. Have fun, whatever you want. Just we're in the Star Wars universe. We're making stories. We're having a good time. I'm here for it. You're here for it. Every Star Wars fan is here for it. All those ones that said The Last Jedi is bad can go away. They don't get to have this. But yeah, I'm pumped. I think it looks great.
Yeah, that was really the first thing that I said to Anthony when I sent it to him after I'd watched it twice. I literally sat there and watched it, and I was like, oh shit. Immediately started from the beginning and again, which I don't do very often at all with trailers. I said to Anthony, I did the Palpatine style roll it again. My biggest takeaway from watching this trailer was it looks visually incredible. Yeah. Like borderline movie quality in a way that, like, I'd said for years was the thing I feared in a Star Wars television show, is that it's going to look cheap. I think Mandalorian typically keeps its head well above water on that. Obviously, a lot of Book of Boba Fett didn't, though some of it did in its strongest moments. and obviously Mandalorian's gotten bigger and better as it's gone. Nothing more so than in this most recent season of Book of Boba Fett, which was obviously partially Mandalorian 2.5. Like, that first episode he shows up in, again, where he's on that ring planet and all that all looked incredible.
Ugh, sick.
So I think that informed where we've gone with this Obi-Wan show, and it's, man, this looks movie quality, and that's great. That's it. I think it can be a little bit immersion breaking. It makes the galaxy far, far away look small, right? And in this case, it doesn't. It looked like it's vibrant and alive, like in a way that a Star Wars movie should.
I agree.
That's awesome.
And I also like that, you're getting some a handful of characters in live action form, right? That you haven't seen that way before, so that's fun too. Yeah, like seeing some of those Inquisitors is I'm pretty excited about. Like, those lightsabers are stupid. I just want to see that happen. Like, it's great.
They're stupid and awesome at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Like, I just turn it into a little helicopter propeller. Just take yourself out of here. I'm all for it. I'm really looking forward to see where this goes. I feel like we're gonna do some big reveals of like tie-ins and stuff like that, and other characters that we are starting to love, like, coming into play and like connecting the dots on storylines that I'm really looking forward to.
Also, I realized I must have missed or misremembered like a handful of casting for this show. Not that I saw anyone big in this trailer, but I was checking out the cast list afterwards, and like Kumail Nanjiani is in this. I didn't realize that Joel Edgerton came back. Of course, it makes perfect sense for him to be in it, but I just don't remember seeing that. Rupert Friend, a couple of other people who are like pretty big actors and actresses. Is like, all right, this is awesome.
Why can't I remember his name in Homeland?
Peter
the Inquisitor. Yeah. This is it's dope. I like Kumail Nanjiani is just casted as question mark.
Well, a bunch of them are just blank names. So,
and then to close out the get your safety face off my Star Wars.
I saw that too. I was like, that's an interesting inclusion.
That completely threw me. Ugh. Sorry, I don't even know where I was going.
It's right,
Ice Cube?
What?
Cube?
Ice Cube Jr.
Ice Cube Jr.?
Isn't O'Shea Jackson Jr. in it?
Yeah, but so it says Ice Cube also.
Oh, did it? I didn't see that.
Interesting. And then that's what I was going to say. The close of the trailer giving us the Vader breath. Pretty cool.
And also kicking it off by playing Duel of the Fates.
Oh, like the greatest Star Wars jam of all time. Yeah.
Which is that an indication that we're going to see Maul in some way, shape, or form?
I would have to assume,
even if it's like a Vietnam flashback to him fighting Maul.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's very, he's not very present, but like he's around. So there's no reason.
It would be weird to shoehorn him into this unless they wanted to give. I don't know why they'd retread that ground, considering we saw the final battle between him and Obi-Wan in Rebels.
Sure.
Like,
when does that take place, though?
It would be after this, because that takes place right before the episode 4.
Yeah, and I guess it was kind of, I don't know why. I was just thinking along the lines of, like, we saw him, the last time we got our live action tease of him was as a hologram in Solo, right? So, like, to bring that full circle, because they didn't go anywhere else with that, it would be kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for these mysteries to unfold week after week, hopefully. But I'm jazzed up. Like,
are we gonna have to come up with a clever name for our post? We're gonna have to come up with a clever name, because we had Mando Watch, we had the Boba's Feature Fett. I'll start brainstorming now for what we're gonna.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm real pumped. What else do we have here? Winning time. The hell is this? So
I don't know if you've seen this, like any ads for this, like in your perusal of HBO or the internet or whatever. But Winning Time is a poorly named show about the Showtime Lakers, which they obviously can't call Showtime because it's on HBO. But it's about the Showtime Lakers of like the 80s and I guess technically into the 90s. I don't know.
Okay, I have seen the hero of it on HBO. Like,
I figured you had to have seen it up in the banner or whatever, or like as a prelude to whatever you're going to watch on HBO. That's the new show from Adam McKay. It's based on a book by, I want to say, Jeff Pearlman about the Lakers from that time when they were like the Celtics Lakers, like 80s clashes, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like all those guys. And part of what's fascinating to me about this is we're always here for new Adam McKay stuff.
Sure.
Part of what fascinates me is it's like a very iconic time in sports like history, from like right before I was born. So it's not like I remember it, obviously, but like my earliest memories of like basketball stuff is pretty much informed by that era, right? And also this seemed to have been what the final straw in the McKay Farrell relationship was. It sounds like everything came to a head when Farrell wanted to play Dr. Jerry Buss, the owner of the Lakers in that time, and McKay didn't think that Farrell was right for the part, and he ended up casting John C. Reilly, and because apparently he looks a lot like him from what I understand. I don't remember actually what Dr. Jerry Buss looks like. He was still alive, I don't know, 20 years ago. So, but I don't remember what he looks like. I'm sure I could look it up very easily online. But his kids run the Lakers now. So yeah, it sounded like that was kind of like the last nail in the coffin on their relationship, because McKay like freely admits that he didn't handle that whole situation very well. And so I don't know, there's just like some intrigue to it. It's got a great cast, like it, between John C. Reilly and like Jason Segel, and Adrian Brody plays Pat Riley, and I don't know, there's a bunch of other like good actors and actresses in the show. So I'm pretty excited. It's supposed to be pretty funny from what I understand. The first episode came out this past Sunday. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but I'm pretty excited to check that out.
I would watch it for the folks that are there. I didn't realize there was a thing with Adam McKay and Will Ferrell.
Oh, we've talked about it some on the show, more pre-hiatus, but we have talked about it a couple of times. Yeah,
I don't recall.
They dissolved like Gary Sanchez Productions a few years ago, which is like a joint like production company, but like everyone acted like that wasn't a big deal. The two of them were like, "Oh yeah, no, everything's fine." And in like the past year or so, we found out things are really not fine between them. They like don't talk anymore.
Oh, well, that's sad.
It is,
but interesting. Yeah, I have no interest in the subject matter, but the guy makes some good content.
Yeah,
so I'd watch it.
It sounds like it's pretty fascinating from what I'm reading about some people, like reviewers who have seen like more of the season. It isn't exactly a documentary, but it's tackling real life people and some of the real things that happened in a way that like a lot of people would like a documentary to, but most of the big documentaries, especially in sports that have come out in the last several years, are extremely curated by the subject, which means they're not very truthful.
Right.
And this is somewhat fairly truthful, it sounds like. And a good way to know that is because like a bunch of the people who like it's portraying don't like it.
Yeah. That's probably a good barometer.
Like no one's saying any of this is a lie. They're all just like, we don't like this. Which to me sounds like it's probably cutting a little too close to the bone. So
oh man. Cool. That's fun. I will maybe I'll check that out at some point. It's not gonna be like something I'm jumping ahead to watch, but
understandable.
Yeah. It's there. What is Studio 666?
Okay, so you don't know what that is. That's cool. So the Foo Fighters have a new album coming out, and alongside of that, they made a movie.
Oh, fun.
It's a horror comedy.
Okay.
And it's called Studio 666. And apparently, like, the record label and all, like, approached, like, Dave Grohl with this idea, and he's like, fuck no. And then eventually he's like, okay, this could kind of be cool. Let's do something about it. And so they made a movie that stars 3 or 4, actually, I forget how many people are in Foo Fighters, whatever. Doesn't matter. Starring all of them as fictionalized versions of themselves.
Okay.
And they decide to go rent this like mansion to record an album in. And they find out that that mansion may or may not be cursed.
Fantastic.
And Dave Grohl gets possessed by some evil spirit that's living in the house. And that evil spirit feeds on like the misery of people or whatever. So it keeps like trying to like, even though things are going horribly wrong and they're all fighting and then people start dying in gruesome ways, he keeps trying to convince everyone, no, we have to stay and finish this album, and gory hijinks ensue. So
sure.
I think it even got like
I'm assuming it'll be their best album because of the demon.
It's entirely possible. So I think this actually got a theatrical release like a week or two ago.
Yeah, because I looked it up before you started talking, and I see showtimes for later today.
Yeah.
So
I do want to see this. I'm probably not going to go to a theater for it, but like I do want to see this movie, even though I'm not big on horror.
Dine-In in Staten Island. Man, things have changed over there. Things have changed. There was the movie theater that you don't go to, the movie theater that you do go to, and the movie theater that you only go to if it's not playing at the other one.
Of course.
Now there seems to be more, and apparently one of them is a diner. Cool. I kind of want to watch the trailer for that.
Yeah, I didn't see the trailer. I'm sure there is one.
I will not do it live, but there's at least 3 here in 2022 trailer fashion. Most of the movie is probably online.
Probably. Yeah, I just found this to be fascinating. I love that it exists, and I would like to see it. I'm just not going to probably go to a theater for it.
Speaking of seeing movies in theaters, I unfortunately was not able to see the Batman last week, but I will be trying again to see it this weekend. I did get word from a cousin who said it was the best Batman that she's seen. So I'm pretty pumped.
I'm a little skeptical of that, though. I have been hearing very good things about it.
So I'm very.
I heard that it addressed pretty well a complaint that I made a few weeks ago when we did the Long Halloween, in which he kept repeatedly saying, "I'm not a detective," and I was like, "I'm going to have to challenge you on that."
I'm the world's greatest detective.
Apparently, they lean very heavily into the detective work in this one, so that's an interesting way to take, because that will clearly be the most of that version of the character that we've seen in a movie.
Detective Comics. It says it right there.
It does. It sure does.
Oh man. Yeah, looking forward to that.
Also, it's like 3 hours long. Apparently.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm ready.
I said I might have to down an energy drink before getting in there, but
gotta do an early showing like I'm gonna do.
Sure, that'd help. Actually, I'm off work. I'm taking off work Friday, so maybe I'll just go see like a little Friday matinee.
Yeah, there you go. Get it done. Down. Better Call Saul is on the horizon.
That's correct. There was a little teaser. It wasn't even like a trailer. There was like a commercial like a week or two ago, but it wasn't even like a full blown commercial. It was just like clearly Saul walking like down the sidewalk, and like, you know, the way they like to leave little Easter egg things. I haven't studied it for it, but I'm sure someone's gonna be able to pick something out of all of that. But yeah. The hype machine is starting to crank up. I saw this week Bob Odenkirk was on Armchair Expert.
Oh, cool.
With Dax. So I didn't realize apparently the two of them worked together. I think I didn't follow up and look it up, but I think maybe he directed Let's Go to Prison.
Really?
Which is one of the movies Dax was in like 15 years ago. I think Bob Odenkirk might have directed that movie based on what the conversation they were having in that.
See? I tried to open it up and then immediately, yeah, he did direct it.
Which is super random. I didn't know that he like ever directed a feature film.
Huh. That's pretty cool. What else? Has he directed anything else?
I have no idea.
Ugh, Michael Shannon, get out of my face.
It's funny, both of them spoke very complimentarily of Michael Shannon.
That's fine. Episode. People love him. People love him. I don't like his face. 21 director credits. Get down, Bob Odenkirk.
Some of that's going to be TV episodes, though. Let's
see. Movie 43, uncredited, but it's listed under director. So maybe
he might have directed one of the segments of it, yeah.
Let's do this. The Birthday Boys accept IFC's offer. I don't know. The Birthday Boys. Young and Handsome. A Night with Jeff Garland. These are TV series, TV miniseries. Short video, TV. That's interesting. That the one thing that we just talked about is not what IMDb. Sometimes you do things. It is. Let's Go to Prison. The Brothers Solomon. What's that?
I don't know.
He directed that as well. He only directs movies that star Will Arnett, it would appear.
Oh, interesting.
But cool. I kind of want. Did you see Let's Go to Prison?
No, I've never seen it. I probably should get around to it one of these years.
I'll check that out. Yeah, I'm pumped. I love me some Better Call Saul. I really dug that teaser that we got of the date that people were all up in arms on Twitter. because they're stupid.
Why?
Did you read any of the comments underneath it?
No.
How are you gonna, like, people just like really just like all caps, like, how are you gonna mark your calendar without a date? Like, just over and over and over again. It's like, dude likes puzzles. Like, if you're a fan, you would know that there's probably something here in the picture.
I was gonna say, I definitely remember seeing in the little teaser thing that it was April 18th. So it must not have been the one I saw.
No, the one you sent me like a few weeks ago.
I don't remember. Actually, I don't remember.
There's no date there, but there's two little evidence markers that you can decode to find out what the date is. And it's just like, I'm not about to dive in and do the puzzle solving, but I appreciate that it's there, and I'll wait until it's revealed to me. I just think that it's really cool that they do that type of thing.
Well, I'm just confused because obviously this was one of my notes from when we were planning on recording last week. So it's over a week ago that I have this note in here.
Mm-hmm.
And in my notes, it just says BCS final season 4/18. So obviously somehow I figured out that it was April 18th.
Well, no, but I mean, like, moments after that was out, people were like, yeah, it's this is the date. This little marker means that. This little marker means that. It's the date. It's right there.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't remember doing detective work. I just remember having that information somehow. I don't remember how I got it.
Fair enough. I'm pumped. And do we know how many episodes we're getting in this?
I have no earthly idea.
Do you have any idea? Any gut feelings on where it's going to go? What is at the bottom of this glass?
It's just a little sediment.
Gross.
I'm gonna check out right now how many episodes on IMDb, if it will load. What season are we on? Season 6? I see 13 episodes.
Cool.
It looks like it's gonna
higher than the usual 10.
I guess it makes sense for a final season, right? No. It's gonna air from April to August. That seems like a long time.
That's a long 13 weeks.
Oh no, apparently the
7 breaks.
They're taking a break at the midpoint-ish for like a month.
Why though?
My only guess would probably be pandemic, or maybe the fact that he almost died.
I mean, it's done though, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure they wrapped shooting it, but like they probably still have work to do on like the latter half of the season, or maybe it's just AMC being obnoxious as always.
Fucking AMC, I hate it.
Why do you make such great stuff and then deliver it to us in the most obnoxious ways? Yeah. Why do you make such great stuff and then actively sabotage and allow it to become terrible things?
Some great stuff. Some of the really good stuff, I feel like, clouds our vision a little bit here and there when it comes to AMC, because there's been some incredible things on that station.
Yeah, I think we've all definitely allowed ourselves to be
hornswoggled.
I'm gonna allow it just because it's a fantastic word and it's been a while since I've heard it. Yeah, well, I guess, like I said, there's two different ways, right? You can look at something like a Better Call Saul in this case that's going to be delivered to us in an obnoxious fashion. You can look at The Walking Dead, which started great and has just actively become terrible over the run of it, which we've documented many times over on this show. But like, it's not just Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Those are two excellent all-time type of shows. But there's another tier of excellent shows that have been on there as well. *Halt and Catch Fire* was a tremendous show. By all accounts, *Humans* is a tremendous show. I've never seen it. It's on my to-do list somewhere down the line. What's it called? Is *Mad Men*. Phenomenal show. Like, they've done some tremendous stuff. They've done some less good stuff too, and that's fine. Like, no, you can't be successful 100% of the time. You got to take some big swings, and sometimes you'll miss, and sometimes you'll hit it, and that's okay. I've heard that people loved *Preacher*. I was never interested,
and that's fine. There's great stuff on the station, but we allow it to excuse the practices of the garbage station.
Yeah, I don't like the practices when it comes to what they've done with The Walking Dead, and have now expanded it to like 5 shows. More news on that later.
I'm really sidetracked right now trying to figure out the origin of the word hornswoggle. And
I feel like you're not going to find a satisfying conclusion to research.
Or relating to hornswoggling is not a definition.
You cannot define the word with the word. Although I would have allowed it if it said
swoggles one's horn.
Yes, it was having to do with the swoggling of horns.
Oh my! Can we? All right, I think that's our. We definitely need to write a fantasy like anthology. The
Called A
Swaggling of
Swaggling of
Horns.
Horns.
How many horns are there, Al? 9? It's probably 9 horns, right? 7 horns?
One horn to swaggle them all.
One horn. One horn to be swaggled. My goodness. I'm losing it. Better Call Saul, it's coming. I'm pumped. This is our last chance to get Kim an Oscar. Nope. A Grammy? Nope. Emmy. What is it? Golden Globe? Is that...
Emmy. It was Emmy. Yeah, it's at this point. It feels
if she gets a Grammy, that's gonna blow my mind.
she's gonna get 3/4 of an EGOT, but one of them won't be an Emmy.
Oh gosh, yeah. We'll see. I'm really curious where that's gonna.
At this point, it feels intentional, right?
Yeah, I'm with you. What's his face? Lalo.
Yep.
Laszlo? Lalo? No, Laszlo is our guy.
You had it right the first time.
Lalo. He's fun to watch too.
Yes.
He really chews it up when he's on the screen.
Yeah, he's more of the...
He's a ham.
Hamming it up, like the Gary Oldman and the Leon the Professional, like, turned up to 11 type of villain, which is great, and he deserves some props for it, but, like, sometimes just going too big is like actually easier than it is hard. I think. Yeah, that's what I've appreciated so much about Ray Perlman's work in this is like, or no, not Ray Perlman, Ray Seahorn. That's her name, right?
Ray Hornswoggle.
No, definitely not that. Most of her scenes aren't big. I think that's what I've appreciated. A lot of her work's been really subtle. Maybe too subtle, I guess. I don't know.
I'm not sure. But we'll keep beating the drum. The boys are diabolical.
Yes. Well, we know that.
Yeah. What is this?
So you're not familiar with The Boys, diabolical?
I'm not. I am familiar with The Boys, season 2 that I have not finished.
You didn't finish it? Okay. I actually forgot about that. Yeah, so I saw an ad the other day on Amazon, and there is I guess an anime is the best way to describe it.
I really liked the way that you said that. An anime? Here's a question.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
An anime?
Yes.
Christopher Walken's anime.
Oh my gosh, I was watching Envy the other day. He's just so Christopher Walken in that.
Envy, that sounds familiar. Have I seen that?
I don't know, you tell me. It's one of those really lesser...
Oh yeah, the Poubion thing?
Yes, yeah.
Vaporize. That's right.
Yeah, I enjoy that movie. It's a bad movie, but I enjoy that movie. It's so ridiculous.
Man. I remember nothing of that movie except for the Vaporize.
Well, it's specifically when Amy Poehler plays Jack Black's wife, and she decides to run for like congressman or something, and during the campaign, she becomes just totally inundated with this chant started by her opponent. Where does the shit go? We want to know.
Oh, that's right.
Where does the shit go? We want to know.
Oh man, that's fun.
But anyway, back to The Boys Diabolical. So it's like an anime style. I don't know if this is a mini series or if there's potential for more seasons. It seems like it's maybe a prequel to The Boys.
Okay.
And it's just like an anime in that universe. Like, so
cool.
And like a bunch of the stars of the show are in it voicing their characters, like Giancarlo Esposito, Elizabeth Shue, the guy who plays Homelander, like a couple other people I noticed when I scrolled through the cast list really quickly. But then there's like a whole bunch of other like famous actors and actresses voicing new or newish characters in the show that like I don't remember. Maybe like they were referenced in the show, but I don't think like ever like appeared on screen. Okay. Like Kumail Nanjiani's in it, Aquafina, the Rosario Dawson, a bunch of other people.
Dude, Kumail is all over the map these days.
Dude, I was thinking of that earlier today when I was putting this together because I had a note in here about Diabolical being like coming out, and I saw like 2 seconds of the trailer the other day, but I didn't actually watch the whole thing, so I watched it before we started recording. And that was after watching the Obi-Wan trailer, and I was like, fuck, he's in 2 trailers for 2 new things that like just came out or are about to come out, and like he's like all over. Like he was in the, what's it called, Murderville. Like, yeah, he was in the Eternals recently. He's been in a million things recently. I mean, I love it. I like him a lot. But
yeah, same. Did you watch Silicon Valley?
No.
I feel like you would enjoy that. You liked Office Space, right?
Yes. Yeah. I watched the first episode of Silicon Valley when it came out. I was pretty excited for that show, and I kind of nothinged the pilot. And I had intended to continue watching, and then I just didn't, and I just never bothered to go back and watch it.
I think you would enjoy it. There are some classics, some lines that are just eternal that have come out of that show. That I mean, granted, my line of work fits perfectly.
Yes,
but it lives on with us for sure. One thing in particular is just the most insane douche of a man. Russ Hammond. I forget what his name is. That's the character's name in the show, and he refers to one of the other characters, and he's like, "This guy fucks."
Yeah,
and we use that a lot when somebody like opens up a pull request with just something that we're really happy with, that the code that they've written.
Oh, that phrase is in the zeitgeist.
It's in there, yeah. But I mean, like, it goes hand in hand with the GIF of him saying it, so it's great. It's just, it lives on. It's great. There's so many
I've heard people
show.
Totally out of that context using that phrasing. I've used it myself. Like,
I love it.
It is a thing.
That show. It's so funny because it's like you have however many seasons to understand the cadence of like doing really, really, really good. Something great is happening for them, asterisk. Like that's pretty much the whole show. And it's like, if you just follow what they have set as the blueprint for the show and realize that they're going to stick to the formula, it is really tremendous the way that it plays out in the end. It's very entertaining. Spielberg is not making Halo, Al.
I'm going to challenge that.
Okay.
This is on IGN from, I don't know, a week ago. Halo TV show, Steven Spielberg was more involved than we expected.
Than we inspect.
That too. Legendary filmmaker Steven Spielberg seemingly had a big hand in the upcoming Halo TV series. During an interview with Total Film, producer Daryl Frank revealed exactly how far-reaching Spielberg's influence was on the upcoming Halo series. We treated it as though it was a legacy project of Steven. He godfathered it in terms of reading every script, helping choose showrunners, writers, directors, cast, production design, and visual effects. Every aspect of it he looked at.
Wow.
Spielberg's interest in Halo goes back a long way. After all, he was expected to produce the now defunct Halo movie. Now, Spielberg's Amblin Television production company is helping bring the TV series to our screens. However, it seems he had a much greater hand in the show than we thought. It's unclear whether he affected many changes to the script, direction, or production design. The fact that he's involved at all is likely a good sign. Known for his love of sci-fi and a string of successful sci-fi blockbusters, Spielberg feels like a perfect creative influence for the project. And then it goes on to just talk about it.
Nice.
Shit.
That's next week? 2 weeks?
It's March 25th, I believe.
Cool.
The final blurb here was, showrunner Stephen Kane insists that you don't have to be a gamer to appreciate the show. If you're absolutely new to the game or don't know anything about it, it's still a great story. It's a great war story and a love story. It's a story of intrigue and a story of characters who are just reaching for something, and they're all yearning for something that's just beyond their grasp.
That's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Like, because there is some cool stuff in the Halo story and the lore and all of what they've built over decades of Halo. And I'm curious, like, how it'll play out on the screen and like what they're going to do with some of those things. And when they say like the love story, I'm assuming that they will. It's like the Chief and Cortana, like their relationship. It's not like a physical romantic love type of situation, but there is clearly something there, and to see what they'll do with that, I'm excited.
Yes, I'm. Yeah, especially it's a couple weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm definitely down to see it when it comes out.
Do we have any idea of episode count or runtime?
You're gonna make me do this again. Halo episode guide. Yeah.
Oh, reduced to 9. What? How many episodes? 9 episodes.
I don't see anything about runtimes though. Just 9 episodes.
Cool. I would have to assume that we're doing an hour.
I'm sure it'll be an hour-ish.
Yeah, an hour adjacent.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll know soon enough. Are we gonna do a Halo watch?
I mean, probably.
What are we gonna call that?
I don't know.
Hello.
Oh, Halo.
I like it.
Yeah, I have to now create a list of things to come up with names for.
Isle of the Dead.
Yes.
What do you got on this one? I don't even know. I have no. You threw a lot of strings of words at me today that I have no knowledge of.
Well, you're gonna either love or hate this. So this is from a couple days ago.
I feel like that's most things, right?
On Variety. Well, I just don't feel like you're gonna... Did you just look it up?
I did.
I had a feeling you was going to lean more towards hate, especially considering pursuant to our conversation from a couple weeks ago. Walking Dead, Maggie and Negan spinoff, Isle of the Dead set at AMC. The Walking Dead continues to live on at AMC with the network greenlighting a spinoff centered on Maggie and Negan.
Isle of the Dead will follow two of the characters all the way to New York City. Why? No. Also, how dare you announce this when it is so clear that one of these two has to kill the other at this point in the show?
Well, I guess they're not going to.
I guess not, which is not what they've alluded to. Like the last time we saw Negan, he's like, "I'm gonna leave." Because as much as I know, as much as I feel like part of the community, and I am like, he is a part of the community now, and he's a team player at this point. He knows that if he stays, at some point, Maggie's going to get him, and he's like, I know I have to go, and he walks off into the sunset, and that was a pretty tremendous thing to do. I would assume
it was a pretty tremendous thing to do in a season premiere, not the season finale.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm still mad about that.
I know you are.
But like, oh man, announcing this cheapens so much.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they couldn't just keep this under wraps until the fucking other season ended. When the show rolls final credits, tease
post credits, see the two of them walking somewhere.
Yeah, that's the time to do this, because at this point it now spoils a massive plot line that you're expecting through the next 37 parts of this final season.
They keep rubbing it in too with the whole part 2 of 3. They're just like, yeah, take it. Take it. It's too much. I still want to see where it goes. Again, they introduced yet another goddamn character this past week. And I'm like, what are you doing? Do you know how to wrap up a show?
No. They've made that very obvious. No, they cannot be clearer.
Goodness. Anyway, I'm still sucked into this for some godforsaken reason. Isle of the Dead.
You're going to hate watch this show so good.
I might. There's a... Isle of the Dead is a 1945 horror drama.
That's not surprising.
Directed by Mark Robinson, starring Boris Karloff and Ellen Drew.
All those the best of those old horror movies all starred Boris Karloff, right? So,
box office 383,000.
383,000.
That's insane. That's pretty good, isn't it? 1945.
I don't know.
Budget?
I have no idea.
246,000.
So no.
Yeah. What they spend all that money on? Boris? How much is Boris pulling in? How much did Boris take for Isle of the Dead? I kind of want to watch this. I'm very interested in watching this movie now, more so than I am watching The Walking Dead. Isle of the Dead. Isle of the Walking Dead. I walked with a zombie. Leopard Man, Bedlam, the Body Snatcher. This Boris Karloff guy's in some stuff, huh?
Quite a bit of it.
Interesting. Alan Napier, get down. Alfred, what are you doing? What are you doing in these Boris Karloff movies? I've stumbled upon something that I need to look a little bit deeper into. What else do you have? That was it. That was it for news and nuggets?
That was the last of my news.
My goodness. You had quite the list of things to go over today.
I did.
We're consuming a bunch of stuff, I would imagine.
Yes.
Considering weeks have passed.
In some cases, literally.
It's funny that you should say that, because I have the first 2 items on my consumption list are things that I've eaten.
Good.
You
want to do a consumption sandwich? What you ate, what I ate, what you ate?
Yeah, sounds good. The first thing is this weekend I had my family over and I made gyros.
Interesting.
I marinated a lamb in my proprietary yogurt blend.
Nice.
For like 18 hours.
Okay.
And then roasted it.
Mm-hmm.
And then let it come down to room temperature and refrigerated it overnight.
Okay.
That's
interesting. That's an interesting way to do things.
And then I cut it cold into the small pieces that I wanted it to be in. And then I pan fried it and tossed it.
Twice cooked?
What? Twice cooked. Twice cooked lamb with hot honey.
Ooh.
Some oregano and lemon juice and lemon zest.
There are so many similarities between what you just told me and what I'm going to tell you, and yet so many differences.
So I tossed this about, got nice and crisp, all right? Juicy and crisp.
Yep.
And then we made our gyros on homemade pita bread.
Homemade pita, wow.
Yeah. No, I went all in. So I found a recipe for a sort of flatbread that was the consistency of what I was looking for the pita. And I kind of wanted a decent sized one. And I was like, okay, that made 1. I'm just going to multiply that by 5 because there's 5 of us. It made a lot. I don't.
Did you accidentally exponentialize that?
I'm not entirely sure. I think
I was trying to make 5 times it, not to the 5th power.
I think what had happened was in the video that I was watching, maybe it was larger than I had thought from the look. But they came out quite good, and a little homemade tzatziki that I had made the night before to let that chill. I did a little sliced grape tomatoes with feta cheese and Kalamata olives that I tossed with a little bit of olive oil and some parsley. You
can mess me with those tomatoes, but the rest of that sounds fantastic.
And then cut up some fresh, crunchy, crisp romaine lettuce.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Wow. It was a treat.
It sounds pretty fantastic. I've never actually had a... For the love of God, anyone, I don't care who it is, just tell me how to pronounce that word.
Gyro?
Well, you said gyro before.
I did. I specifically said gyro now just to get under your skin.
I thought you were going to come up with something really obscene, like gyro. Is it gyro? Is it gyro? Is it gyro? Is it gyro? Is it orgy? What is it?
The first time I heard the word gyro was the X-Men skit where Gambit is going to throw a euro. You're going to throw the euro. I could throw the euro.
Are we talking about a lovely Middle Eastern lamb thing, or are we talking about the standard currency of the European Union? I don't know.
I will say that there's also this nice. There's this other this place that we go to that makes it good. I say gyro. I've always said gyro, so I'm going to continue to say that. But this place, I think they tried to nip it in the bud by saying they're on their menu. It is actually spelled Yeero.
Spell it phonetically. That's, I guess, the best way you can handle it, because I've heard too many people equivocate. Oh, it could be either one. No, it clearly is supposed to be.
It's got to be one or the other, right?
A particular way. Tell me which way. I really don't care. Whatever it is that you want to tell me it is, I will stick to. I've heard it pronounced so many different ways, and it frustrates the fuck out of me. Tell me how that word is supposed to be pronounced.
This place is called Greek Eats, and they spell it that way, so I assume that you would say it that way. But then but then they go and make Greek empanadas. So I don't know what kind
Maybe
of
not the
grounds
most
they're standing on.
reliable,
Yeah.
yeah.
That being said, their spanakopita empanada is amazing. They also have a spicy feta empanada. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
that sounds
Oh
fantastic.
my goodness.
Sorry, anytime I hear anyone say spanakopita, I think of BoJack Horseman because there was a character named Anna Spanakopita.
Fantastic. Oh man, what did you eat?
Okay, so what I have been consuming off and on for the last day and a half is, so I had a handful of vacation days left that I have been holding on to through January and February because two reasons. One, nothing really goes on January and February. Two, Omicron plus flu season. I figured I'd hang on to those until my year end, which is the end of February.
Mm.
In which case, my next year starts and I lose those vacation days. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to use these vacation days. We had 2 days at work where they just gave us off because the road conditions were so terrible with snow and ice. So I used a couple of days on that.
Mm.
But I still had 2 left, and I had trouble getting in touch with my HR. And we had like President's Day and also like a snow day in there, which I used one of the vacation days. But I was like, okay, when do I literally use these days? And so I was like, I finally got a hold of them. I was like, listen, want to use these 2 days. Now I have technically passed my year end. I was like, can I just like use them this week so that I don't lose those days? And they're like, yeah, sure. So I used one yesterday, which was Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using one Friday this week, and then I'll be done and up to date with where I'm supposed to be.
Sure.
But me and Dominic's friend Brian also was like, oh, like
When does he get elevated to your friend Brian?
he's my friend too, but he's Dominic's friend Brian. I don't know. I don't want to feel like I took his friend Brian. Like he's Dominic's friend, but he's my friend too.
Mm.
Our friend Brian. Our steak.
Yeah. It's not like a John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt situation.
I'll just call him my friend Brian for now.
Okay.
If it makes you happy.
Thank you.
Or like you with the Gyro situation, maybe I'll keep mixing it up.
Oh, okay. I get down with that.
So him and Dominic have made beef jerky a bunch of times.
Sure.
And so he's like, oh, if you're using one of these days, let's pick a day, and if I can get my work schedule to align with it, let's make beef jerky. So on Sunday, we met and prepared the jerky and sliced up like 8 pounds of London broil and marinated it for, I don't know, let's call it 36 hours.
Okay.
And it was
there's something that tickles me about on Sunday, we marinated the London broil for 36 hours.
Okay, I'm glad that
I like
that
it.
has provided you joy and entertainment. So yeah, we sliced up 4 London broils and we marinated it in a recipe that I concocted by sampling many recipes out there in the world, and it's honey sriracha ginger beef jerky.
Nice.
And you were talking about slicing up and marinating and hot honey and all that stuff, and I was like, we're speaking the same language here. I too sliced up a bunch of steak, marinated it in hot sauce and honey and ginger.
I don't know why, when the two of us are talking about like different meats like this, I just feel like we need to cut Miracle Max in, and the mutton is nice and delicious.
Oh, trust me, I was thinking it almost the whole time you were talking about the gyro. So yeah, we made what ultimately yielded, and I don't feel great about this measurement system, but we made a gallon of jerky. Well, that's what happened. Was I was like, I took it. We split the whole thing. I was like, but he had to leave while I was still tending the last of it because it all doesn't unfortunately dehydrate.
You were tending to your meats.
Yes, I was tending the meats, and I put it in 2 gallon-sized bags, and each bag is about half full. And I was like, he's like, all right, how much did we end up with? I was like, well, I don't have a scale, so the best way I can describe this is I have 2 half gallons, so a gallon of beef jerky. It's like, I don't feel good about this, but I have no better way to describe it.
Excellent.
Which, prompted a conversation on like a desk of Cheez-Its or a hammock of cake, if you will. Circa old school Family Guy.
Sure.
But I have a gallon of honey sriracha ginger beef jerky.
And how did it come out?
Oh, it's delicious.
Fantastic. What do you do to it?
So you marinate it.
Sure.
Typically 12 to 24 hours, but
36.
unfortunately the math worked out that way. Well, I wasn't going to be in the mood to do it Monday night after work, so I was like, let's do it Sunday when we're off. And so almost all jerky, I think, typically has at least some base of soy sauce, or if you're allergic to soy, coconut, let me know, I guess. But
what about tamari?
I didn't have any of that in there. I don't even know what that is, actually.
It's a gluten-free soy sauce.
Oh, okay. Is that like a brand name or
no?
Okay, I don't know. Never heard of it before. So we used regular old soy sauce, honey, sriracha. I grated some fresh ginger, a little black pepper, and we just slathered it pretty good in that and let it marinate in the fridge for 36-ish hours, and then you take a dehydrator, and we had 3 dehydrators actually with like extended racks, so. Because you want to lay it very, like, it's got to be a totally, like, thin layer. You can't have it stacked. And,
right.
You have to space in between all of it so that the airflow can continue to go past it.
Okay.
And, it's all these wire racks that stack neatly on top of each other. There's a solid base at the bottom with a couple of air vents. And then there's a mechanism that goes on top that you set a rough temperature range to. And it dehydrates the meat. It took about 8 hours because we set it to a really low setting, because if you set it too high, it can really dry it out too much. Like, obviously, the purpose is to dry it out, but you can really get it to, like, basically essentially burn for lack of a better term. So we did it low and slow for like 8 hours, and we just hung out. He was quote unquote working from home, which meant like periodically he would send an email.
Sure.
But we hung out, had a couple of nice outdoor beers. Played a little Halo.
Nice.
In between, because we would rotate, because like the racks are stacked on top of each other. There's obviously one rack is much closer to the dehydrator than the one on the bottom. So every half hour you rotate the racks so that it's as evenly, dehydrated as possible. So, they were just hanging out, watched some stuff, played some Halo, had some drinks. Nice. It was a good day. It was a nice solid Tuesday.
Good. How thick are you cutting? Like, how do you cut the meat?
We had different approaches. My pieces trended towards a little bit like smaller and thinner. His were a little bit bigger and thicker. I don't want to say either of us got it right or wrong. Some of ours were probably perfect, and some of ours were probably on far ends of the spectrum less perfect. So,
gotcha.
I guess that does make for some textural delight because there's very different experiences piece to piece. But
cool.
Yeah, I think typically you want to go like 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch thick, and I guess the length of it doesn't really matter so much. But
sure. What's going on in a dehydrator? Are we just blowing a certain temperature's worth of air through the rack?
I think so.
Something
like that.
That's all it is.
Something like that. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
I don't know the actual science behind it now.
Sure. I think there's like a dehydrate button on my air fryer.
I'm sure it works similarly.
It's got a fan. And heat, so I assume that's pretty much it. It's got racks,
Yeah.
Nice. So with leftovers from what if I say gyro? Is that a good mix? The leftovers from the gyro.
Did you hear when I gave like the 4 or 5 different things? I slipped in the word orgy too, just because that's an anagram of it, I guess.
You just threw me off completely. I love it. I used a leg of lamb, bone in, and that I roasted. So I saved the bone and some meat that was still clinging on for dear life.
You made lamb stock?
I made split pea and lamb soup.
I know your mom has historically made the split pea and ham soup, so you did it with lamb instead?
I did.
How did that come out?
Delicious.
I've never actually had the soup your mom made from.
It's good. It's good. I make that soup also because it's just easy. It's very easy soup to make, and it's usually very, very flavorful. The ham one,
fill pot with water, jam whole ass leg into water.
Right.
Profit.
Right. I had to break the leg
Yeah, I'm sure it would have been sticking
which
out, right? So
was pretty good for my self-esteem.
okay.
But it got it in there.
So you didn't cut it, you broke it.
No, I broke it. And
I don't know, I would have thought chop saw maybe.
again, got it in there, and that cooked it for a few hours, like on a nice low simmer,
Low
and
and slow.
I added more water multiple times because those split peas are hungry fuckers, and they will soak that up, and it'll get real thick.
It's just they're just peas. They're not.
It's dry split peas.
Oh, okay. Because I know like my dad makes a beef and barley stew, and the barley drinks up all the stew.
Yeah, it's similar to that.
But I didn't realize that split peas came dried. I assumed like most of the times when I have like peas cooked like that, it's like a frozen bag of peas, which does not drink up water.
Yeah,
right?
No, these are an interesting consistency in their own right, and it makes for like at varying times throughout the day. It was split pea lamb stew for sure.
Of course.
But I kept adding water and more seasoning. And the one difference that I found between the making the split pea with the lamb versus the ham is that, as you may know, hams are salty, and it doesn't require much seasoning to keep it at a nice flavor profile. But the lamb by no means was cured or anything like that. So it was along the additional water, I had to additional season and make sure. But I got it a pretty consistent flavor the whole time through its cook, and I was pretty happy where it came from.
Okay.
Pretty happy. I had leftover pita that I dipped in the soup.
Oh, perfect.
Because like I said, we made a good 9 pitas.
Exponential growth.
One of them was a pizza. The first one, when I thought that I was making them, when I thought I was making 5, I had cut all of the dough that I had made into 5 equal pieces.
Mm.
The first one was very thick and fluffy pizza, and it was delicious, but not. It wouldn't have been a good idea to eat it that way.
For Kira.
Yeah. What else were you eating? You said you had another thing.
Oh no, I said you said
bookending
you
it with my
I had one.
Got it. Awesome. I mean, as far as other consumption, though, I assume you're watching a bunch of shit.
I am.
What are you watching?
You assumed correctly. So let's start with, we mentioned it, I want to say it was last episode, and they dropped the first 3 episodes this past weekend. I watched the first 2 of the 3 episodes of Our Flag Means Death.
Cool. And verdict?
It's incredibly silly.
Great.
As one might expect. So I didn't realize that the lead was his name Rhys Darby, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He's I guess he's a New Zealander. He's the guy from Yes Man. He played Jim Carrey's boss. Okay, so you know who he is. Okay. I was just surprised because like the first 30 seconds I was like, oh, it's that guy.
I'd love to invite you over for my party. I'm out of town. I haven't told you when it is yet. Next Saturday, I'm out of town.
He's kind of basically playing the exact same character, but in this case, so like the premise of the show is apparently it's very loosely based on a real story from like the 1700s.
All right.
And there was some British nobleman whose name I've already forgotten, who decided that he wanted to be a pirate.
Sure.
And he
that old chestnut.
Yeah, he does that, and he's not pirate material. He's just not. And he has a bunch of pirates who are, they're more pirate-like than him. None of them are very good pirates. Some of them are bloodthirsty, but none of them are very talented in pirating. And it's exactly what you would expect from that sort of show with like Taika Waititi sensibilities. He hasn't actually shown up yet in the first 2 episodes.
Excellent.
I guess he plays Blackbeard, from what I understand. There was a lot of talk of Blackbeard so far, and Blackbeard has been on screen in a very mythological sense. Okay. It's people recounting the terror of Blackbeard pirating, and he's like basically a demon.
Awesome.
And yeah, I don't know. It's been fun. I'm not going to say it's the greatest show ever so far. But
you're having fun.
These sorts of shows always are a little rough to begin anyway.
Yeah.
And I thought the second episode was overall probably better than the first one anyway. But that's, again, not uncommon for a pilot to be pretty rough as it tries to establish a lot of what's going on, which is really tough for a comedy, especially, I think. Mm-hmm. But It is entertaining. I've done some good laughing. There's a couple of recognizable faces. Hodor is one of the pirates. A couple other people who like you're like, ooh, I think I've seen him in something.
Yeah.
I guess he's the first mate. Is Ewan Bremner? He's a Scottish actor. He was in like Trainspotting, and he was in what's it called? He was in the first Wonder Woman. He played the I guess he was a sniper, right? Who was the PTSD.
Okay, and I just looked him up I know who you're talking about. Okay, yeah.
But cool. It's good. It's been fun. It's a short watch. It's I don't know that this is gonna be something I like sit down for as appointment television, but it's like throughout the week or every couple of weeks I'm gonna probably catch back up to what's going on. And I've enjoyed it so far. I definitely want to see where it goes.
Nice. I would like to watch one or two and see how it fares for me. It seems fun, but like I could see what you're saying. Oh, I have that suspicion going in that like it's probably going to be a bumpy first few episodes.
Yeah, it is, but like there are definitely some laughs to be had in there.
Yeah, I just have to be in the mindset to accept that. I think when I put it on, otherwise I'll just not watch it.
Yeah, I think if you're just looking for some light entertainment, that's what you do. You just
mid to light treason.
Exactly. It's worth checking out.
Cool. I just finished The After Party, which was really entertaining.
Yes, I remember you talking about that. Was the last episode or the episode before?
Yeah, probably the one before. Christopher Miller's The After Party. And it was just a really fun murder mystery that goes the first episode of like the stuff happening, and then it's like the cop interviewing, trying to figure out what happened, interviews each member of the party to get their story of the night, and then seeing everything from these different perspectives and angles along the way, with a big comedic spin on the entire thing. Just a lot of laugh out loud. What's that?
So as one would expect from Christopher Miller.
Yeah, a lot of laugh out loud stuff to be had in there, and probably a fun reveal in the end for sure. And one of the things I've noticed though is like there does seem to be a little bit of something missing here and there throughout it, and I do wonder if it has to do with like the two of them are normally working together and making something.
I was going to ask
missing a little bit of identity.
I was going to ask you about that. Like, did the two of them break up or?
No, I think Lord maybe EP'd on it.
Oh, okay.
But it says like it doesn't say Lord Miller like all those things say. It's like Christopher Miller, like directed by and then Lord showed up at one of the things, but it's always moving too fast for me to catch what was going on or to go back to. But yeah, it's really, really entertaining. And also, you know how much I love me some Ben Schwartz. So like it's just absolutely killing. There's just so much. Everybody's bringing it. Like, and like in just the best way, and they're all so funny.
Yeah,
and it was a fun watch. It was like Clue, but stretched out.
Yeah,
you know,
it's incredible how short Clue is.
Yeah,
when you consider that, like the full runtime of it, when it includes all three endings, is like 89 minutes.
Yep, absolutely. But I would recommend folks give that one a go. I think it's, what was it, 8 episodes?
What's
8
that
episodes
again?
That's on Apple TV.
Okay.
But it just ended. But I feel like at this point, anytime I see Sam Richardson, I get excited. I'm like, whatever you're gonna do, I'm here for. Like, I just want to watch you do your thing because there's just
it's kind of always the same character, but Richard Splett is an iconic character.
It is like he's just such a nice, good person all the time, bumbling a little bit, unsure of himself, but you know, good heart all around. And it's just
he's a himbo.
What?
He's a himbo.
A himbo?
Yes, correct.
What does that mean?
Like a bimbo, but a himbo.
Oh,
that's a thing. I didn't make that up.
Interesting. I like that. But anyway, he's a lot of fun. And him and Ben Schwartz are best friends in the movie, in the show. So
I could see, if you squinted, Ben Schwartz being able to fill in for Tim Robinson as his best friend.
That's fair. Oh man, but yep, I recommend it. What else are you watching?
Well, I guess let's keep with the Apple TV, and I will mention that I got a 3-month plus 1 week free trial of. Yeah, I don't know how. I can't explain it, but I have a 3-month plus 1 week free trial of Apple TV.
Nice.
So I started watching Ted Lasso.
Fantastic! What a treat.
Well, I've just been waiting for an opportunity to do it without having to pay for it. So here it is.
My goodness.
3 months and 1 week. I think it was because there was a specific deal with LG and my phones or my TV's an LG, and so
cool.
I saw it like in the app store. It's like, hey, use your free trial of Apple TV, and I was like, don't twist my arm if you give me 3 months of it, like because there's a million of those services like, oh, watch free for 1 week, and it's like I'm not gonna like get the utility out of this unless I take a week off. So,
right.
But 3 months, I can do that.
Yeah.
So I watched an episode before we were recording today. That was like the 7th or 8th episode of the first season.
Nice.
Which I think by far has been the best episode of the first season. It's the one where they travel to Liverpool, where they hadn't won in forever, and they win.
Mm-hmm.
That was a phenomenal episode of television.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, obviously the whole point of the show is balancing the funny and the silly with the serious, and the ratio on that's a little different every episode.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool because it keeps you on your toes a bit, where you can't really feel like you've established into a rut in either direction. Like, that balancing act is probably really tough to do, and they've been pretty much nailing it, as I've noticed so far in the first season. And that episode had some of the highest highs of the comedy and some of the lowest lows of the dramatic.
Yeah.
And really, really strong episode television.
I love that show so much. I'm glad you're finally watching it.
Yeah. No, trust me, it's never been a lack of desire.
Yeah.
It's just been a lack of desire to pay Apple for the privilege of watching it.
So at this point, have you seen the Caesar you later joke?
The which one?
Caesar you later?
I don't remember that one.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's the first season, so I don't know how many episodes there are altogether, so it may be coming.
Okay.
But
there was one episode that I was kind of sort of dozing in the last 5 minutes of it. It was the one where his wife and kid come. Like, I don't remember all the details.
I don't remember what else was going on in this episode. I do remember that he's in Rebecca's office, and oh my god, what is his name?
Her lackey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either.
Damn, he's so funny too. But Ted is like, I'll see you. We're gonna
the Caesar salad.
Yeah.
I thought you said seizure.
No, sorry. Like, the Caesar you later.
Yes, I did.
that I would like. I'm pretty sure like I spit out my water with that flying jump he does back through the door.
Yeah.
Yes, and points at him. I love it. I don't know why, but like that got me. So I had to rewatch it a couple times because
he offers her to like have lunch or dinner or something like that, and she's like, I don't have time for all this. He goes, no, none of us has time. He goes, well, me and him are having lunch together in his office. Caesar salads. And he goes, yeah, I'll Caesar you later.
I love it.
So, I mean, I don't know, maybe it would change in the second season. I don't know if anyone's been added or whatever. Who was your favorite character in the first season?
I don't remember. At this point, I'm pretty sure Roy is always my favorite.
Okay, so I was going to say, there's probably no wrong answer, but my favorite character so far has been Roy. He's utterly ridiculous.
If you
rage
think
machine.
He's utterly ridiculous, and then just becomes that cartoon evolves into even more of a character who is trying to understand himself and relationships in the second season in a way that is it's just wonderful.
Well, it's been pretty obvious from like the, I don't know, 4th or 5th episode on that the rage is a bit at this point because he doesn't know what he is without it.
Right.
He kind of reminds me of a ornery British Mr. Furious. And I only kind of came to that conclusion in this last episode when Nathan does the roast, which was phenomenal. That was a tremendous scene before the game against Liverpool.
Yep.
And the whole where it comes to a head with Roy when he says Roy and Roy just stands up and he's just like standing with his chest out in front of him and he immediately shrinks after having been emboldened by all of them enjoying the roast after initially thinking they were all going to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And Roy snatches the papers out of his hand. He goes, no, don't read it. Say it to my face. And he says it and Roy just starts going and then walks over and rips the bench that was nailed to the ground out of the ground and throws it and goes, let's fucking get out there. And they all start going off and running. They run out and they obviously they go and win. that was when it kind of coalesced for me. It was like, oh my god, he reminds me a little bit of Mr. Furious.
That's great. That is awesome. I'm glad. So you are enjoying it then?
Oh yeah, no, it's been
Fantastic.
really good. I enjoy the weird interplay between him and Coach Beard.
Coach Beard is low key, maybe like second best.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you could choose Roy, you could choose Ted, you could choose Coach Beard, you could choose Nathan, you could choose Sam, you could choose Danny Rojas.
Sam is great. Football is life.
you could choose Rebecca, you could choose Keely, you could choose
they're all
a bunch of characters. You could choose the guy who, again, I don't remember.
Why can't I remember his name?
The glasses, Rebecca's assistant guy with the glasses.
It's gonna drive me crazy. I have to look it up.
There are so many great choices for favorite character. But I just really love Higgins. Yeah, Jesus. That's right. I really enjoy all the little permutations of all of their relationships with each other.
Yep.
It's a really enjoyable show. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
and I gotta say, having the benefit now of coming to this fresh after everyone met with it as a sensation like almost 2 years ago now, it felt like everyone downplayed how funny the show was or tried to act like it wasn't that. It was like a weird hipstery thing, like, oh, it's not that funny, but it was like the perfect show, what we needed in this time. It's like, no, it's okay to say something is good.
Yeah,
like it's okay to say something is good on merit. It's a funny show. It doesn't make it the funniest show in the world. There can be other shows that are funnier. It's a legitimately funny show in its own right. You don't have to rationalize it or whatever. Like it's fine. Like you're going to be okay to just say what it is, and it's very funny.
Yeah, it is very funny. I unapologetically love that show. The reporter from the Independent. What's his name?
Ted Krim. Is that what it is? It's definitely Krim. I think it's Ted.
Trent.
Maybe it's Trent Krim. I don't know. Krim? Something like that.
Trent.
Yeah, I love my favorite version of that though was when he's taking questions in one of the press conferences is after the one where they spend the whole day together and he profiles them, and he's choosing names from the reporters because at this point he feels more comfortable and knows them. He goes, Trent Krim, the Independent, and he stands up and he goes, Trent Krim, the Independent.
Oh my goodness, it's so funny. I also love that, like, Ted is always speaking so fast and he has his little sayings, and I love when people are thrown and don't know what he says and they like look to Coach Beard.
The first 4 or 5 episodes of this show could have been subtitled Ted Lasso Non Sequitur the Show.
Yeah.
And it's not just him, although that's a lot of the interaction, but there are so many non sequitur conversations. Some of them are hilarious, some of them are head scratching, but there are so many times where there's two people talking and they're not having the same conversation.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! I just love the translations when then Coach Beard has to do it for people because he understands Ted.
Yes,
and there's one coming up for you in the second season, which we had to rewind it a couple times only because it moved so fast that I actually couldn't understand what Ted was saying. I got what Coach Beard was saying, but I didn't hear the words that Ted was saying. And he's talking about the team, and he's like, they're just wigwamming a teepee, and everybody looks to Beard and he goes, the 2 tents.
Well, I think already my favorite scene of his just came up in this episode too. It's when he's singing, I think it was a Lady Gaga song during the karaoke.
Yes.
I forget what song it was now, but he was singing like a Lady Gaga song during the karaoke. All of their karaoke song choices. Sam was singing Wonderwall.
Yeah.
Which was funny. Rebecca sings Let It Go. There was another one too. I don't remember what it was, but Coach Beard was singing a Lady Gaga song. But like at the end, like the music cuts out. It's just him singing it a cappella for like 15 seconds.
Oh man, it's so much fun. I'm so glad you're watching it and can't wait for you to keep.
Yeah, I'm glad I've finally been able to. I want to really make the most of this because there are a bunch of shows I've been intrigued by. I want to check out Foundation. I know you started watching.
Yeah, I have to go back to that. I have I think I maybe 3 or 4 episodes into it. I was really enjoying it too.
I know Dominic's friend Brian really likes Foundation. I know he started watching.
One of these days you're going to throw out like your friend Brian. I'm like, wait, I don't know. Who are you talking about now? Oh goodness. And of course we got a couple Oscars flicks that you can now check out as well.
Go on.
Coda's up for Best Picture. That's on there.
That's right.
And Macbeth uh, is not Best Picture, but he's up for it.
Oh, okay. I was kind of interested by that one,
Same.
especially since I don't know anything about Macbeth. I never read that one or saw any version of it. So
Yeah. I don't think I did. I read that one. I feel like I did read it, but like
I read Romeo and Juliet, Julius Caesar, and Hamlet.
I didn't read Hamlet. I
Those are
read
the only
Macbeth.
three. Those are the only three I ever had to read.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I hated reading Shakespeare.
Oh yeah, for two reasons. One, I don't enjoy reading plays.
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch a play,
Yeah.
but I don't feel like I get anything out of reading them. Mm-hmm. And two, obviously, there's that language barrier of Shakespearean English being so far removed from what we speak now.
Yeah. It's like you have to like really dig into every single line to like, I don't know. It's just not. I just never really cared for it.
Yeah, it's almost like reading another language.
Yeah,
you sometimes have to go back entire like pages or sections to like, what the fuck are they talking about right now?
Yeah, so bizarre. Cool. That was you. What am I watching? I have been continuing on with The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I love, and I'm looking to see where it goes. Finally got to see some Lenny Bruce again, who's a character that we love in this household. Unfortunately, it was not a great showing. He was being kind of a dick. But it's also there was a scene somewhere in the last season of the season before where it's like, oh, at some point during the run of this show, Lenny's gonna die. and there was nothing specific that they were hinting at. It's just that the way that it's going, the way that his character is developing, the darkness that's there, this character is going to die, and it's going to be a problem. It's going to mentally impact Midge Maisel, in some way. It's going to have some effect on her career and life going forward. I think. I don't know what they're going to do with it. I still believe that that's going to be the case, especially with his tease when they brought him back, and he's definitely in a rough place. So I'm kind of curious where it goes, but man. It's such a fast-paced show. The line delivery is really quick. There's a lot of extended, single, one shots, like where they'll follow the character through like corridors and stuff as they're talking and move. The choreography is so impressive because it actually feels like it comes off more like a stage play, the way that they're moving and talking and throwing lines back and forth. But they just have a lot more room to work with because it's not a set. No, it's not. It's not a stage.
Yeah.
So there's something cool about it. It's such an entertaining watch. It's like I feel like you're like mesmerized when you're watching it by the way that it's shot.
That's one that I've always wanted to get to, and I just haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
One last time, I'll bring it back to Ted Lasso real quick. I've noticed there's something similar that they've done in the show that you were just describing, where they'll do like a tracking shot of someone walking and like they'll pivot to another character without changing like a cut.
Yeah.
Which I like that, like baton passing. It's kind of, it's just kind of a cool visual language to have for the audiences, like things just to show the circles within circles of all these characters, how interconnected they all are.
Yeah.
The way you were describing with the following people through stuff like that just reminded me of that. Like I've noticed it kind of like subconsciously a couple times, and then in this most recent episode there was like a really aggressive one where like Rebecca's friend was leaving to go out to smoke, and she walked past Ted, and Ted's standing at the concierge, and the scene just pivots directly to the conversation Ted's having.
Yeah.
But then she walks back on screen like 90 seconds later.
I love that.
That's a really cool, like it's such a little thing. It's not like a big bombastic like thing from like an action sequence or whatever. Like, and there's some really cool things you can do with that, right? Like all the big like one shot like hallway scenes and stuff like that, or
1917.
Something like 1917. Or, like I guess the closest equivalence to this would be something like Birdman, right? Which again kind of goes back to what you're saying about like a stage production, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's a cool, subtle little thing that just keeps you engaged with what's going on.
Yeah, they hold on to even if they extend it for like 2 more minutes, they hold on to you in a way that like it creates so much more immersion, even in a place like this where it's not necessary like to have that, but it's
nice.
Yeah,
to have
it's artsy and it's like fun and it's Like,
Yeah.
I see what you did there. I appreciate and respect it. Like, you didn't need to do that. Like, they didn't.
And that's
need
the end
to.
of it. It doesn't have to be any more
Yeah.
than that. You know.
It's great. Cool. What else are you watching?
So I finished last night. I think technically it ended a week or so ago, but obviously we hadn't recorded, so it didn't matter. I finished the most recent season of Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, okay.
I have really enjoyed this show. The first season was good. It's that very stereotypically Danny McBride, weird and uncomfortable almost at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Second season as well. Well, first of all, when I watched the first season, knowing what happened with Vice Principals, where it was a planned 2 seasons and they did 2 seasons, and like that's like a really weird. Like I think they basically shot it all at once. They just released it like a year apart. Like, but with Righteous Gemstones, it sounds like they had a more nebulous plan for it.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout and at the end of the first season, it didn't seem like the type of thing they would just end there. But also, I was kind of curious what more of that show would look like, because they resolved not just a lot, like almost all of the storylines, but a lot of the central tensions between the characters.
Sure.
So I was like, what does another season of this look like? Like, it probably could just be that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not opposed to seeing more of it, and I'm sure they'll come up with something clever, but like, what exactly, without backsliding on like a lot of character development? And there's a lot of shows like that where, like, you know, you can make some big breakthrough in a character and then you backslide slightly when it comes to, like, even if you come to terms with 2 characters who were butting heads, come to terms with some major thing that they were fighting over, they may just be oil and water characters. So you can always kind of mine new territory there. Although sometimes it can feel like you're undoing it and kind of retconning it for the sake of drawing out that tension.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of that it was guilty of in the second season. But the first part of the season, I kind of just wasn't sure what the actual central tension of like the overarching season storyline was going to be. It felt a little weirdly contrived, or like they were ginning up into like an A level of importance, like what was really kind of a C storyline. And it took probably 2/3 of the season to really flesh out what was actually going on. And then it just shoots out of a cannon from there. And the last several episodes were really like, not like the first half or so of the season was bad. It's just like the central story didn't seem propulsive enough to me. It kind of, there was some really good character moments and there was some really entertaining and funny shit that was going on and just ridiculous hijinks. But like the actual story left something to be desired for the first half or so. And I still don't think that like retroactively it made the first half of the season better, but like the final couple of episodes were so turned up to 11 and so good that it makes up for and covers some of those inconsistencies early on in the season. And so I do wonder how much is like affected by maybe making a show in the pandemic and how much is made up from, okay, we didn't have a good plan for what a second season would look like. But again, they kind of sort of leave this season and it's like, well, you could kind of maybe end this show here, but like there still are, I think what they've proven is there's always going to be some skeleton in some closet that's going to get revealed.
Okay. Interesting.
Oh, it was good. I don't want to make it sound like that was a negative review of the season. It was probably a 7.5 or 8. You know what I mean? Like it was good. It was just unconventional by the archetypes by which you kind of judge a season of television.
Right. Interesting. What am I watching? I hate watching The Walking Dead. I'm actually going to lump these 3 together. Not because none of these are groundbreaking television, but there's things that I have started, I'm deep into, so I will see them through. The Walking Dead, as you know, begrudgingly, I'm watching it. This Is Us, I'm watching it. I still enjoy it. It's time. It's been time to wrap it up. They are wrapping it up. Oh, yeah,
my mom gave up on that a season or 2 ago.
I think they're doing some good stuff right now with the closeout of the show. So that's cool. And then Million Little Things, some of the things have gotten a little outlandish to the point of like, you're going to have to rein this back in to keep the story at least semi-grounded. And like, it's like these people are going through too many things. Like, I know we all go through stuff. But
that show, from what little I know of it from the promotional material and what you told me, like while watching the first season, feels like possibly the worst intersection of This Is Us and The Righteous Gemstones, where it's like how does this show sustain itself past one?
Yeah, and it's on like 4 or 5, I think.
That sounds right. You would know better than me.
I don't. It's fine. Like there's some good stuff. I mean, there are straight characters that I just like straight up don't care about though. That are still core characters of the show. So like when their scenes come on, it's like that's when I'll go fill my water or like brush my teeth, take a bathroom break. And just like I just don't really care. But then of course, then there's some other interesting things that are going on. So like we'll see how it plays out. It's not a big investment because we are watching it weekly as it airs. So
okay.
But what else you got?
I have 2 movies that I watched like 2 weekends ago now. One of them, prompted by you alerting me to it being on HBO Max, was The King's Man.
Oh, excellent.
So that was an interesting watch. It was doesn't quite nail the tone of the first 2.
Nope.
A lot of that feels intentional.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of its own thing, but it's also not. It's weird.
So I think they probably made a choice, probably the right choice, fairly early on, that if we're going to make a movie about World War One, there's only so much comedy we can mine here.
Yeah,
because it's World War One.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it, but it's not nearly as good as the other 2.
No, but I think like gut check would be probably like a 6.57 if I were to give it. But it's an entertaining watch all the way through. I feel like, and then my dad just watched it, so we were talking a little. And actually both my parents watched it, and we were talking about it this weekend. And I was like, for a movie that is fine, it's entertaining enough. It's a good watch. I have never before in my life watched a movie and went. And as you know, there's a scene that prompted that, and I think I told you last week if I had pearls, I would have clutched them.
Yeah, I can guess. I'm not so surprised by the end result. I was just of that scene. I'm assuming we're talking about the same scene, but more so how it went down.
Yeah, it was so quick.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was so sudden in the moment. Also, the perpetrator of that is funny because when he first stood up indignantly, I was like, is that? No, that can't be. And then the whole scene played out, and I was like, no, that's right. That is that guy. It was Robert Aramayo, the guy who played young Ned Stark in the flashback, who's going to be playing young Lord Elrond in the Rings of Power show. Weird that I would be able to pull him out of that so quickly for a guy who was in like 8 minutes of Game of Thrones.
Rings of Power. One horn. Swallow them all.
The other movie that I watched that weekend was on Amazon, which I mentioned to you a few weeks back. It was I Want You Back.
Mm-hmm.
So, in like pop culture, there's been a lot of conversation for the last few years. I know we've kind of touched on it some too. The rom-com disappeared.
Yeah.
And then it kind of resurfaced sort of on like streaming services, most specifically Netflix. This was a pretty good rom-com.
Then I am in, because I love a good rom-com.
It's surprisingly well crafted and didn't make me want to hate everyone as much as I do most rom-coms.
Okay.
But was still having the vague level of absurdity that's required in a rom-com, and a vague amount of I have to hate all of these characters a certain amount for at least the first half of this movie because all of them are kind of in their lowest point. But it was interesting. It was an interesting movie. It's a super weird premise. It starts with Jenny Slate is dating is it Scott Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's son?
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie Day is dating I always forget her name. She was in Annihilation. She was in Jane the Virgin. She was the star of Jane the Virgin. I for the life of me can't remember.
Gina Rodriguez.
That one. And the two of them break up with Scott Eastwood breaks up with Jenny Slate, and Gina Rodriguez breaks up with Charlie Day in like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Okay.
During like dueling scenes where they keep like cutting back and forth to the two things. None of the four of them know each other.
Gotcha.
But these two things are happening concurrently. Charlie Day is being broken up with by his girlfriend at his girlfriend's niece or nephew's birthday party.
Oh God.
And Jenny Slate and Scott Eastwood are out on what I looked like supposed to be some sort of like brunch date, and they both get broken up in very public fashion. Both of them go into huge tailspins.
Cool.
We see very little of the other significant other for a while, and eventually these two characters have. I definitely don't want to call it a meet cute because both of them are crying in the staircase of the office building they work in.
Meet ugly.
Yes, meet ugly cry, I guess would probably be the best way to call it.
Mugly.
Yeah, they create a pact in which when either one of them wants to call their ex, they'll call the other person instead.
Okay.
And this isn't like a grief bang situation. This isn't anything like it's a purely platonic relationship of like co-grief counseling each other. And eventually we start to see a little bit of the stories of the other two because what happens is the two of them make a pact where they're going to try and break up the other's ex from the new relationship they're in.
Cool.
Which is totally absurd.
Yep.
And even like the plan is like Jenny Slate's going to seduce Gina Rodriguez's new boyfriend.
Right.
And because Jenny Slate doesn't believe that Charlie Day can seduce Scott Eastwood's new girlfriend, the idea is he's going to go become best friends with Scott Eastwood and undermine the relationship. Okay. It's just ridiculous.
I like it.
Yeah, no, it's a fun movie. There is a heart to it, a little bit more conscious effort to. This isn't just by the end of this we're going to find ourselves. Like they put in the work to find themselves in this movie, which a lot of rom-coms they tend to skip that step.
Yeah,
a lot of ways or don't really earn it. I liked it. It's more well written than a lot of those. It feels more. It just all of it feels a little bit more earned than the old slew of the. And I haven't seen some of the legacy rom-coms like even from like the 90s and 80s and stuff like that. My kind of wheelhouse of all those was call it like late 90s to late 2000s. Mm-hmm. I've always enjoyed the genre to a certain extent.
I love it.
Yeah. So this was cool. It was just different because I feel like I haven't really watched one other than like when we did what's it called
Just
for
Friends.
Christmas. Yeah, but I mean that's a 15-year-old movie. Yeah. So no, it's fun. I think it would be a good movie for like you and Kim. Like just like I imagine the two of you would be able to enjoy that.
She'll be pumped. We're always looking for it.
It's on Amazon. It came out like a month or so ago.
Cool. We're actually on the Charlie Day train. The other day I was working later at night, so I put a movie on in the background, and that movie was Horrible Bosses, which I had not put on in a long time. And my goodness, if that movie is not fantastic. Like
it is.
It's so fun. Like it's laugh out loud all the time. Like every time I've seen it, there's just something, even like things that I know are coming, just the way they delivered. The three of them going back and forth. The great Alfred Hitchcock, Danny DeVito movie, Throw Mama from the train. There's just so many great lines, and I love the characters.
I was drag racing in a Prius. I don't win a lot.
Oh man.
Sorry,
what's your name? I don't feel like your name's not really Jerry. What's your real name? Ahmad. Buddy, that name's a nightmare. I'm gonna call you Jerry. He's so
Atmanad.
Yeah. And then when he comes back at the end and he's recorded the whole.
Yes,
I have it. We record all instances of a crash.
That just reminded me that I saw today. I didn't get to listen to it yet, but the newest episode of Cinephobe kicks off a new month of Cinephobes, and spurred by their love of Horrible Bosses 2. I mean, they're like the first one too, obviously. Mm-hmm. They did the second one for the show because the critic score on the second one was really low. This month is Kidnapping Month.
Okay.
It's all kidnapping movies. The first one they're doing is Master of Disguise. Do you remember that movie?
I've never seen it. I know of it.
I watched that a bunch as a kid when it first came out. Okay. It's a very bad movie.
Yeah.
It's so bad. So I'm very excited. I probably watched that movie in parts or entirety like 10 times. And, like when you're like 12 years old and you have HBO and like it's like summer break and you watch the same movie like 10 times on HBO.
Course.
That was one of them for me when I was like 11 or 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it like probably 10-ish times and never again. So I'm really curious to hear what I remember and don't remember from this episode.
Right. What? There's kidnapping in that movie?
Yes.
What are some other kidnapping movies?
I can't think of any that would be off the top of my head, like that'll be on Xenophobe specifically. Like off the top of my head, when I think of kidnapping, I think of Ransom.
Sure.
That's going to be way too highly rated though to be on Cinephobe. Like it's got to be Cinephobe. It's got to be below 40% on either the critic or audience score. There's no way that movie is going to be rated that lowly. So
gotcha. Cool. That's fun.
I'm sure there's a million movies that if you really rack your brain like this.
Yeah.
And also like, to be fair, they've kind of sort of bent the rules on those things in the past where like there could be a kidnap that happens that has like 1% to do with what the movie's about, and that might be it. Like when they did Ben Affleck month, they did Smoking Aces, and Ben Affleck's barely in that movie.
Right? Squeaked it in there. It's funny, you had mentioned that the rom-com is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you had also just mentioned the movie Ransom, and that type of movie is also gone.
Kidnapping?
Not the kidnapping movie, just like there's something, I guess, like the thriller actions like star style. I don't know how to describe it, but like I could like Ransom, like Snake Eyes, like there's like movies from that time. Like there's like a whole there's a whole bunch of them that they feel
did
the
Snake
same
Eyes during Nicolas Cage month,
and it's like I don't know what you would call those movies, but they
90s movies.
90s, yeah. Yeah, I guess. I guess. I love 90s movies. I love them.
Yeah. I've never seen Snake Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Ransom. I mean, would you really call that it's not an action movie. It's a thriller.
It's a thriller. Yeah.
I mean, like there was a couple of action scenes, but it's not
an action movie.
It's a like a thriller, suspense, mystery type.
Yeah.
Movie.
Yeah. Ransom, I remember being like a very well received movie. Am I misremembering?
Yeah, no, it's a good movie.
Yeah, okay.
It's a good movie.
I remember watching it.
Strong performances by Mel Gibson and Rene Russo and Gary Sinise.
I remember getting the rundown of what that movie was about by one of cousin Tony's ex-boyfriends, Turtle.
Oh, I don't remember.
And I was just like,
I don't remember.
I want to watch this movie.
Wait, sorry. I do vaguely remember him. That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
That's easily 20 to 25 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah. It's a deep cut. It's a family deep cut.
Isn't she like a witch now?
What?
Isn't she like a witch now?
I don't know.
I think she is.
Cool.
She got married on top of a mountain or something.
That's awesome.
Non sequitur of the podcast.
That's pretty cool. I am watching. Was that you or me that just went?
Me?
I am watching.
I think I kind of sort of not hijacked, like piggybacked off of one that you did, but gotcha. I think I'm.
You're plumb out.
Yeah, I'm done with mine.
All
so
right.
like, it's up to you to finish.
I got 3 more to go through. I watched 1 episode of Interview. I enjoyed it. It was silly. The Interview.
Sorry.
Interview.
Review.
Definitely review. And my.
I was like, was it Interview that Hugo Weaving movie we did last year?
It definitely got auto-corrected.
Okay.
To Interview. I watched Review, 1 episode of that. That was the cocaine.
You enjoyed that one?
That was really good. That was very silly. Speaking of cocaine, I watched John Mulaney's return to SNL.
What a segue!
And I've watched the last 2 episodes of SNL were very funny, in a way that they haven't been in a while.
I usually see who the guest is going to be on a weekly-ish basis, and then like decide whether I'm going to watch or not. I haven't even seen who's been on the last several weeks. I had no idea John Mulaney was on until you texted me like 4 days after it happened.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would encourage you to watch the last 2 episodes, because the one that just passed was Oscar Isaac, and that was also very good.
I would have liked to have watched that one had I known he was on.
Yeah, but the John Mulaney one comes right out of the gate. just telling it all as a joke, just everything that happened, and it's very funny. And
well, I'm glad he can laugh about it. I'm sure there are other people in his life who can't.
yeah, well, there's it's good. It was very entertaining. I will say I don't know if you remember back when he hosted like last year or whatever it was or 2 years ago.
I remember of it.
Kim and I were watching it, and I had pointed out that he was doing something weird with his mouth, and I was like, "Huh, I hope he didn't fall off the wagon."
He did,
and he absolutely did, and he looks very different right now, and he was very funny, but he was also very much not the same style of delivery as he was last time he was on, because he was clearly on something last time. But it was good. It was, and of course, in typical John Mulaney hosting SNL fashion, it was he was also inducted into the Five Timers on that episode. But in typical John Mulaney fashion, there was also an entire musical number, and it's just
that one where they did the Sound of Music from a few years ago. That's an all time.
That was great. This one's pretty good too. Not as good as that one. Maybe I'm 38.
Yeah, I am 16 going on 17. Baby, I'm 42.
Oh man, that was good. But this one is it takes place in the subway. It's all about the subway. It's great. It's great. There's a whole thing that had me absolutely tickled about random liquid on the floor of the subway train that is coming towards your feet.
Which, I think I actually did hear about that. I read online something about that.
Which is an experience I'm familiar with. But that was a lot of fun. And the Oscar Isaac one I just watched before we started today, that one was he had a couple of great skits in there too. There was one ridiculous one with skin meatballs that you're just gonna have to see for yourself.
I hate that sentence.
Yep. And then finally, somehow I ended up watching American Idol, and I've kind of been sucked in. It's entertaining.
Sorry, 20 years later, and after it died and was reborn, you got sucked into American Idol.
Yeah. Well, Kim was watching it because she watched it when it was on, and so it was on. I sat down, and I was like, "I'll watch this." I had fun. I had a good time.
Okay.
There's a lot of times I find that when something extremely embarrassing or cringy is happening in a movie or TV show, I turtle. I pull my shirt above my head, and I feel safe. And I watch it through the fabrics of the fibers of my shirt.
Turtles become a weird theme in this.
It has, hasn't it?
Because between Tony's ex-boyfriend and that, and also that just reminded me of Dana Carvey in The Master of Disguise.
Oh, turtle! I actually know that scene.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this through line here.
We're gonna be done with turtles after this, I think. Hopefully, I'm not sure if any turtles come up in Nightmare Alley.
I don't believe so.
But I will hide in my shirt, and that happens occasionally with SNL. Not SNL. That too. But it happens occasionally with American Idol when you just can't bear to watch it.
Like a shebang situation?
Yeah, when you just when you're crawling out of your skin. Oh, my sister was over and put on a show, Love is
Blind.
Love is Blind?
Yes.
They don't see each other, but they get engaged, that whole thing?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I've never watched it, but I'm familiar with it.
I was getting annoyingly invested in the episode.
That feels like it would be a turtley show, yeah.
Oh, absolutely was. Are we
going to replace the term cringy with turtley?
Utter, yeah, I hope so. Utter tool bags across the board. And it was hard. It's so hard to watch. Yet we watched like 4 episodes.
Slow motion train wreck?
It was, Yep. Anyway, it's a lot of stuff to be watching.
It is.
Fun and games?
It's up to you. Because it's your turn to give the question. So.
You know what? Wait.
Sorry, you have the movie.
I have the movie. Let's do it. It's important that we do it. Although I would have skipped it, but you'll find out by the end of why it's important that we have to do it.
Oh, God.
I think you'll find out. So, or at least I'll explain it after the fact. So, because I picked this movie, I want you to know that I picked this movie at about 7:30 this evening.
Okay.
It's important.
Right about when I texted you.
Oh, maybe is that when you texted me? It's
7:30.
nothing to do with that, but that was around the time that I picked it, and I just want you to remember that.
It could be a movie with John Mulaney.
It's not gonna. All right, go for it.
Oh no, sorry. You said you were watching the Oscar Isaac one.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe it's an Oscar Isaac. Okay. Is Oscar Isaac in this movie?
No.
Damn.
You just guess, like right off the bat, a movie, and you get it in one. My goodness, we're gonna retire this game.
First question: is it a most violent year? Done. Let's go on to the movie. What? Okay. Did this movie come out in or after the year 2000?
No.
In or after the year 1990?
Yes.
Okay. Is it Ransom? Okay. Is it an action movie?
Yes.
This is a dumb question because I think every single movie in the 90s was an action movie.
Yeah. Again,
no, obviously.
I just to be clear, I feel like I probably would have hesitated for a second if I was thinking about it myself, but it is billed as an action movie.
Okay. No, I'm just joking because you were like, oh, I can't tell what links these two movies together. It's like, oh, they're 90s movies. Yeah, even Notting Hill action movie. I picked the 90s rom-com.
Nailed it.
I never actually saw that movie, but
was that Mickey Blue Eyes? He was in that too, right? Not think of the same guy.
Hugh Grant?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I was watching a bit of The Gentleman the other day, and I love a Bobby. that was like the very end, and they're doing like the whole flashback thing, and just his delivery of that line always cracked me up. Is it a sci-fi movie?
No, that's 5.
Is it like a cop/crime movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, there's so many of those in the 90s, and I only know of like a third of them.
I was going to say that is also all of the 90s movies. 90s movies are action crime movies.
It's all of the non-sci-fi 90s movies and also half of the sci-fi 90s movies. Well, because you get like Judge Dredd and like all of those movies, you know, Starship Troopers,
Judge Dredd.
Like Is it part of a series?
No.
So at least I can rule out like a Lethal Weapon. Is Keanu Reeves in?
No.
I don't know. Immediately a couple of movies pop. Like I had Point Break, I had Speed, I had it's probably too limiting, but still.
Or it could have been a great play. It eliminated some things though. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes when I really hit a wall, I'm just like, man, I really just wish I could ask who's in this movie.
Right. Who's in it? Who you got?
Was this movie like nominated for any major awards, major Oscars?
Here we go. I'll play this again.
You should know. I'm gonna probably ask that question. Just have that up.
Yeah. At least I know where to find the button now. No.
Okay. You definitely picked my blind spot here. There's a decent chance you stumped me on this one.
I feel like it's so funny though. Like, every movie seems to have a list of awards, whether they're like notable awards. It's just
it's always some award that like I wrote it on like a blog somewhere,
right?
And like that gets pulled into IMDb,
or that's like on the poster, winner of 10 whatevers, and it's like all like the pull quotes all over the poster.
I just want to see a subdivision of that category. It could be the bottom of the list. The winner of 8 Golden Spin Tunes.
Yes. One large spin tune pie. The Golden Spin Tune, the most coveted of film awards.
Is that what we're gonna do? You know, like 6 months after Flix and a Whisk, we could do the Golden Spin Tunes.
I think so.
So we could have 2 award shows a year.
We should do that.
Fuck, man, I am totally at a loss here. Is this a movie that like we've talked about before? Like have I seen this movie?
Yes.
Like, okay, I guess that's somewhat helpful. Okay, I guess that's somewhat helpful because I'm really really. Is anyone from the Expendables universe in this movie?
Oh. Please hold.
Sorry, we're talking a 90s action movie. There's a pretty good chance.
I want to say yes, but I have to double check.
Because I got to get something to narrow this down, because I have no fucking idea what I'm doing here.
No. One more second. Check one other thing. Real quick. One more.
Oh, would you click on each individual Expendables? It's probably safe.
I'm actually clicking on the people that could have potentially.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously talking about like major actors and actresses in the movie. I'm not, if it was someone.
We're not holding on to any Expendables here.
Okay. Interesting.
And that's 11. So I don't know if I called 10 out before.
Yeah, you did. Although I forgot what that question was that I asked. Do you remember what I asked?
Would you know it? Like, have you?
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, because I was trying to eliminate, like, could it be a Schwarzenegger, like a True Lies or something?
Sure.
Could it be,
wow,
stuff like.
Somehow I've like locked you out of like that's rough, right? Not like being in the Expendables feels like it should have been a gimme. Like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, but you know what though? Like that could be interesting because like now I can just move whole SWAT. Like I don't have to worry about Stallone. I don't have to worry about Schwarzenegger. I don't have to worry about Bruce Willis. Like I can just put all of them away. Like so.
Yeah.
I still might have a hard time getting the answer, but at least I can finally start like whittling down because I just felt like I had everything at my disposal with the exception of like Point Break and Speed, and like Judge Dredd. Okay. I feel like I need to bring up IMDb and do a quick scroll through the Expendables.
Sorry, hang on 1 second.
Oh no, did you find someone from the Expendables in the movie?
Well, for some reason I feel like no. Okay. No. We're good.
I was gonna say I feel like I need a refresher on who's actually in that movie because I'm gonna forget someone who's in the okay. Man, 90s movie not featuring an Expendables actor that I've definitely probably seen that we've discussed. That's a crime action, not sci-fi. You picked a good one, Anthony. You picked a good one.
Thank you.
And not part of a series, so we don't got. There's no Lethal Weapon. There's no. No Bad Boys. No.
Bad.
Huh?
I said, man, Bad Boys.
Yeah. No. No Fugitive or U.S. Marshals. Is Kevin Spacey in this movie?
No.
Okay. I mean, he's in a bunch of those movies in the 90s. Actually, yeah. Even in more than I was thinking off the top of my head. Usual Suspects, Seven.
That's right.
L.A. Confidential, The Negotiator.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Good movie.
Yeah.
What's his name? What's his name's in that is pretty young. Paul Giamatti. He plays the rat. Or informant, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, man, I feel like I'm in that situation where I was in Wordle the last couple of days where I just like I have no idea where to go with the information at my disposal. Because I have like a good amount of information now.
Yeah.
But still just nothing
it's hard.
That's going to give
It's a hard game. Especially like I feel like it's hard to play by yourself too. Like we might need to shelf this for times we have guests.
No, I mean I still enjoy the challenge. I just like I said, you just kind of sort of picked a bit of a blind spot for me, which is going to happen sometimes, So what's throwing me is I've thought a bunch of these movies and I've eliminated all of them. And you say you feel pretty confident that we've like discussed this movie, that I've probably seen this movie. Like the fact that nothing is coming to mind past what I've eliminated already. Is Nicolas Cage in this movie?
No.
Fuck. Fuck. Damn it. Is anyone in this movie?
That's the crazy thing. Is that? Do you want to ask that question?
Well, obviously someone's in it. It's a movie, but
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah.
And do you want me to answer it or no?
I don't know. I feel like it's a trick question. Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
I mean, I assumed that was the case. There's like one movie at this point that like is sticking in my head. It feels like it's too obvious for you to have chosen it.
Mm.
And I can only afford to burn so many questions at this point. Which is why I keep leaving that off to the side until like desperation Hail Mary situations here. I feel like I've nailed all of the big 90s stars at this point, and none of them are in this movie. What am I on, 13?
14.
14? Like, this one will be the 14th or 15th?
This will be 15.
Fuck. Alright, is Robert De Niro in this movie?
No.
Okay. Because, like, my Hail Mary play was like, is it Heat? Because I feel like I've gotten every other thing off the board here. I'm going to be mad when I get this answer.
That's 15.
Okay, is it in or after 1995?
No.
Oh, God. Again, further getting into my blind spot of I'm better with 95 on than I am pre-95. For a second, I just panicked and I was thinking, oh God, what's it called? Although I'm struggling to remember if that, I think that was, but Robert De Niro's in that, so. I was thinking of what's it called, The Untouchables.
Mm.
And I was like, wait, no, Robert De Niro's in that, we're safe. Early 90s. Crime action. Not part of a series. No Expendables. No Spacey or De Niro or Cage or Reeves. Who the fuck is in this movie? I feel like I've gotten everyone who was in the big movies of the 90s.
Mm.
Sorry, how many do I have left?
You have 3 questions and a guess.
Steven Seagal in this movie?
No.
It's like the only other person of the 90s, and I steer clear to that because I've been pretty clear to you in the past that I've never watched a Steven Seagal movie, so I was hoping that you remembered that. Oh my God.
2 questions and a guess.
The only other 90s action stars I can think of would be like Chuck Norris and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Both of them are Expendables. Well, in the Expendables movies. There's Harrison Ford, but all of his movies in that time were all parts of series.
Will he get it?
I'm probably not gonna get it.
And a guess. If this was AMC, we would take our mid-season break right now.
Early 90s. That like 5-year span is like almost blank for me. I don't even have a question to ask.
Throwing it in?
I don't want to. I'm very stubborn.
I know.
Well, especially I'm like so close at this point. Like even if I could just throw out a couple of bullshit like guesses, like you know.
Yeah.
What's really hanging me up at this point is like us having talked about the movie. This is so fresh.
He's sweating.
I am.
He's gonna punch a hole through the wall.
I'm not gonna punch a hole through the wall. I'm not that type of guy. But I'm leaning in the next 30 seconds or so to conceding because I can't think of another question to ask. Is Wesley Snipes in this movie?
No. That was a good pull though.
Like he's like the only other, and even he's overlapped a bunch of the other questions I've asked.
Sure. Yeah, it gets hard especially when you're trying to narrow a focus because like you're like it's weird like you're in a spot of like
I'm in complete negative space.
I
don't have a single thing to lean on. It's just I've asked all of the questions that have outlined and there's one tiny little space in the middle of this web that I've created.
It's so interesting where like all of the answers to your questions have been no, which is not helpful.
I needed one yes.
Yeah.
Like some of those no's are helpful, but at a certain point I needed a yes, and I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like a substantive yes, not like like we talked about it isn't substantive enough. I needed an actor or a series or whatever. You know what I mean? So I have one question and one guess.
That's right.
Who in the fuck am I missing? Because like it feels like at some point or other I've eliminated like just about everyone I could even think of.
Yeah.
Which is what's really confusing me about this. It's like someone, at least one big like star in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like even the couple of them that didn't get like that I asked directly or like the Expendables, like most of the other ones, like it's people who were in series.
Right.
So
there was a lot of series too.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I am the worst competitor because all I want to do is help you right now.
No, I know, and I'm the worst because I'm so stubborn because I should probably just throw in the towel because I don't have anything and I just keep racking my brain.
Just like guess any movie.
Yeah, well, because it's come down to it's like it's just gonna be me guessing a movie that's like nowhere near the answer. I'm disgusted with myself. All right, go ahead. Just tell me what it is because I have.
You sure?
Yeah, I've wasted so much time. I don't have anything. Leon?
Which, so earlier today, when you brought it up during this show, I was like,
neither of them was really stars at that point.
Yeah, that's totally fair. When you brought it up earlier, though, I had already picked the movie, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me! It's gonna be fresh in his mind.
Yeah. The problem is like Gary Oldman's absolutely a movie star, but he wasn't like I guess you could probably say that made him a star.
Sure.
Because like, what else was he in? Like the Interview with a Vampire. Like that's the only other like big role he was in at that time.
At the time, I actually don't even know because let me see. I'll pull him up real quick because
it was like Interview with the Vampire, the Crucible, not the Crucible, the Scarlet Letter, and that like those 3 movies are in like the early 90s.
Yeah,
it's really hard to call him a star at that point.
TV. Well, actually, he was in a bunch of. It looks like he was in a handful of movies prior, but let's see. He was in Dracula.
Oh, sorry, Bram Stoker, Interview with Vampire. I was confused those two.
That was 92.
Yeah.
He was Lee Harvey Oswald in JFK.
I didn't know that. I've never seen that movie. I didn't know he was in that.
I mean, he's been in a handful of things. His earliest credit is Remembrance in 82.
No, I'm not saying he wasn't in things. I'm just saying he wasn't
he's
like
not
a star.
like he's not. Let's see. Well, let's see what happens.
That's what you're talking about is literally the very beginning of him becoming a star.
So he's in.
So it's just
the
like
Professional, and then he's Scarlet Letter is what you're talking. Yeah. Then like Fifth Element. I feel like Fifth Element is where it starts.
Well, I think at that point is where you could say Gary Oldman is a star. Not that movie made him one, but at that point you could call him that from those movies we just talked about, like that 3-year span of movies.
Oh my god! Then it's like Fifth Element, Air Force One, Lost in Space, Quest for Camelot, The Contender, Nobody's Baby, Hannibal, Friends.
Yeah, because I think of him as a star from the late 90s, early 2000s on. You know what I mean? Like I don't think of him as a star in that period of time, and you can't really call Jean Reno a star. So
sure,
like and you know I'm not thinking of fucking Natalie Portman,
right?
You know, even though she was kind of in a couple of really big movies at that time, between that and Heat.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously it wasn't Heat. That should have been my question. Was anyone in Heat in this movie? The thing is, I probably would have forgotten Natalie Portman was in that movie.
Right.
I'm only remembering
unless you think about
this now.
That's funny. Well, Al, it was a valiant effort. It was a tough one.
No, that's upsetting because I like that movie.
I was furious earlier today when you had brought it up, and I was like, 2 questions. He's gonna have the movie. Did I mention this? No, have we talked about this movie on this episode? Yes.
That's gonna have to be one of my questions from now on because there has been a weird propensity for us
in a last ditch effort. When you have one question and a guest left, that might be a good spot for sure.
Well, I almost at one point asked whether we had done it for the show because again,
funny you should ask because I was like in my mind I was like we've talked about this movie a number of times. I was like, no, we didn't. And I went to look it up and we didn't do it.
No.
With that, let us get into our flick of the week. Nightmare Alley, released in 2021, rated R with a 2-hour and 30-minute runtime. Your IMDb synopsis. An ambitious carny with a talent for manipulating people with a few well-chosen words hooks up with a female psychiatrist who is even more dangerous than he is. Interesting synopsis. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
But
I mean that's pretty accurate, right?
Yeah, I just feel like it kind of hides some of the actual plot. Like that's not really a plot. I feel like it's like a more description of like one of the characters.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, he's like carny on the rise, and he meets up with psychiatrists. I mean, that informs everything that happens.
Carny on the rise. In Guillermo del Toro's Carny on the Rise. Oh man. Al, why don't you give me your IMDb? No, why don't you give me your hot take? You can't give me your IMDb synopsis. That's not how this works. It's not how the internet works.
Dark and Twisted, from the dark and twisted mind of Guillermo del Toro. A gripping tale with standout performances from the incredibly talented Cooper, Blanchett, Mara, Strathern, and Jenkins. 8.5 out of 10.
Ooh, nice. All right. A captivating yet harrowing neo-noir take on a man architecting his own demise. 7 out of 10. I dig your score. I went a little bit lower, specifically because I felt like there was something that just to me felt like there was something slightly missing from it. And I couldn't put my finger on it until I was actually going back through it earlier today, and it was missing a little bit in my mind of the originality of like the screenplay of a Del Toro movie because it's a remake, and I guess I didn't know that going in.
Oh, okay.
And I knew that I've read about it after the fact, and I'm actually very curious to watch the original now.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll necessarily take the time to watch the original or read the book, which I think came out like a year before the original movie did. But I did I skimmed a synopsis of the original movie, and it sounds like they did change some stuff at the end of the movie a little bit. Like the core beats of the movie is basically all the same, but they did change the ending a bit.
Yeah.
I kind of liked the original one because it singles out the cyclical nature of all of this, which is kind of cool in its own way. That being said, I didn't mind the change that they made for this one because it does perpetuate a cycle just in a different way, and actually I think it empowered some people to break some other people to break the cycle, which is probably a good thing.
Sure.
Not that any of those people come out out their own scars, but yeah, I found this movie pretty riveting.
Yeah,
I had no idea what it was about at the beginning.
Same. And I would argue halfway through, I still didn't really know what it was about. But I was definitely like captivated. Like there was something special with the storytelling. Each of the acts felt so fresh that like they were almost like their own little like movie in itself. Like the whole. You start off like I don't know. You watch a trailer for this movie, and you're getting which I did like I don't know a couple of weeks back, and I was like, yeah.
Well, we talked about it that from the trailer. I thought this was like a detective movie.
Yeah, still have nothing. Also, like I just assumed that the entirety of the movie was going to kind of take place around the carnival like set, and only to find that like after the first act, we've moved on. And like it's kind of cool the way that all played out, and it was fun. It was just like Bradley Cooper was fun to watch in this role.
He played the good type of Bradley Cooper character, right? Because he kind of plays a bunch of versions of this same character. Like I don't really see the dissimilarities between this character and his character from American Hustle. Like they're almost the same character, different spin on it, but it's kind of the same guy, right? The guy who it's the Icarus tale, right? He flies too close to the sun. Like he just needs to rise and rise and rise and be the best and climb as high as he can get, and he ends up getting burned.
Yeah,
right? Like it's kind of the same character, and the way he plays it. That one was more manic. This one was a little bit more understated, but you see that mania break out as he keeps getting more, but that just increases his desire for more, and it becomes this kind of Ouroboros situation where he's eating his own tail.
Yeah. And it's like it goes so high where it's like you're watching and you're like, man, like this is getting like they've been hinting at it. Other characters have been telling you like this is getting out of hand. Like it's getting too far out of hand. You've been warned from the beginning. Don't go there with this thing. There's only bad things behind that door. And he just keeps going. And like you're like, what? Like I'm uncomfortable. This is not going to end well. I don't know how, but like it all like you feel it building and it's all going to come crashing down soon, but then it just like crashes down so spectacularly.
Well, in a most unexpected way, I guess. To a certain, well, in a couple of ways, the most unexpected way, because you don't see him fail once he finally sets himself on the path. Like he just keeps succeeding and succeeding and succeeding and succeeding,
like sheer force of will. Like he just
that. Even as you can understand how the character would become intoxicated with his own success, but even as a viewer, you're like, well, he kind of seems to have all the like character is so detail oriented in the micro and the macro that you don't really see a path by which he can fail. And when he overreaches, you still kind of feel like he's gonna get away with it. And then when he so dramatically doesn't, it's like, oh, We should have probably seen that coming a longer way off.
Right. Yeah, we were almost we were hornswoggled by his own confidence
Oh
and
my
his
they did swoggle our horns pretty good.
Yeah, it's just it's wild, like, and just like the like if you can be, if the character that we're following can be so criminal and so, like, he is doing something so dark and shady, like, obviously other people can be that way too. And I think that's the writing on the wall that you're not really seeing. Like it always feels like he has the upper hand because we know who he is because we've spent so much time with him throughout this movie. But like, the Doctor is bad news. Like, she's bad news.
Well, you know what it is? It's like the Peter principle mixed with like the Predator principle, where like, there's always a bigger fish,
Mm-hmm.
but like it took him rising to the level of its incompetence, right? Where he keeps like, oh, I can manipulate all the people at this level.
Yeah.
Oh, I can manipulate all the people at this level. Oh, I'm bigger and better than everyone. I can manipulate everyone at this level. And then when he reaches the level that he can't manipulate, he doesn't see it coming when that character in turn manipulates him back.
Yeah.
In fact, that like such a talented Predator that she lures him into this trap that you should have seen coming a mile away, that everyone should have seen coming
Right.
a mile away. Like, it's so obvious in so many ways, to the point where when she literally lays the bait, he willingly takes it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the second that whiskey touches his lips, he's done.
Yeah.
Right? Because the one thing that has made him the alpha predator everywhere he's gone is his control and his attention to detail.
Right.
And the
his
second
clarity of mind.
Yes. And the second he touches it, it's like, okay, he's going to lose all of what makes him great.
Yeah. That's like the hubris shows in that moment, right? Of him drinking the... It's like, he's like, well, I can handle this because I've got this.
It's also the exact moment that I realized it was going to end with him becoming the...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was... I agree with you on that 100%. Because it's especially like all the hints of... basically, we're spoon-fed the cycle of the geek by Willem Dafoe's character. So, like, even seeing it coming, it was kind of awesome to watch how, like, spectacularly he hits the ground, like rock bottom. Like, I just think they did it. The execution was awesome. It was just awesome. I think all of the performances were really strong. The elite that he's dealing with at the end, they really gave me the heebie-jeebies. Excuse me.
Which, like, they're obviously supposed to. Man, that was... I knew something bad was coming their way eventually, but I just didn't see it quite playing out that way until, like, moments before it happened. But seeing how... Considering she only gets a couple of scenes, seeing how broken Mary Steenburgen is.
Yeah.
And how that plays out with the murder-suicide, I was like, whoa!
Yeah, when it's happening, she's like, I've been thinking about how he said we're gonna, and I was like, no, I was like, but no gun yet. I was like, oh shit. Yep. This is, and then like the I think
big alarm bells.
Cutting the timing of that scene being shown to us and the news story breaking to the whatever that guy was, like his bodyguard, his
head
crony,
head of security or whatever, yeah,
his hornswoggler.
Nope.
Yeah, and then like that guy was itching. He's like, give me a reason to punch him.
Oh, he knew. He's, I think it is probably one of those take one to know one type of situations, right? Where it's like, I'm a bastard and I can tell you're one as well.
That's right. Oh man, what a brutal! We're jumping around a lot, but like, what a brutal end to that character too. The back up of the car and the run over. He got straight up scalped by that car.
Yeah,
it was grotesque, in Guillermo fashion.
Yes,
for sure. That nightmare baby in the jar. That thing really just did not sit well with me.
Yeah, probably the worst version of that I've seen since Dawn of the Dead.
Nightmare baby out of the womb.
Yeah,
for sure.
That sound that the baby makes in that movie.
It's not great. It's not. I liked I had fun in the carnival. I think there's something, I find carnivals to be so fascinating. Like, I like the look, the ambiance. I think it's so interesting. And then like to set some story time here in that space, like it's like uncomfortable yet mysterious, and I just love
it's
it.
perversely entertaining because like there's certain scenes like watching was it Xena? Was that the character she was? Like that watching them do her act a couple of times over,
Yeah.
like in various forms of success, that was cool, and I don't feel as uncomfortable about what's going on
Right, like
in that
the
scene.
trickery going on.
Yeah, I mean like that part, but it's like okay, you kind of half know when you're coming in that you're gonna get tricked
Sure,
anyway, and it's kind of no harm no
you're
foul.
paying
Like
to get tricked. Yeah,
yeah,
like
like
you.
you're
Yeah.
and whatever. Like it's not the same as some of the other things. Like for instance, how brutal and disgusting and revolting the geek thing is, or how weird and perverse. And for most of the movie, I wasn't sure what was the name of that Rooney Mara plays.
Molly.
Like early on, I wasn't sure. I just assumed that was all for effect. I didn't realize she was actually getting electrocuted every time she did it. And when that gets revealed later down the line, I was like, oh god, that recontextualizes all of that in a big way for me. That makes me way more uncomfortable now in retrospect.
Yeah.
But like some of the other things, it's like, oh, like there's a strong man, whatever, and like, okay, it's not great they're making fun of the little person, but I
Colonel.
guess it's factually accurate for the time, right? So, but I don't like that. But yeah, no, I mean, you draw the line at watching a man be starved and abused and biting a head off a chicken. And I mean, at first, I kind of figured, well, it's a carnival, all of this is fake, and so that's just kind of whatever. And then you see what's really going on. It's like, oh god, it's even worse than I thought. Like,
yeah, it's so gross and dark and just diabolical. Oh man, the one of the things I noticed, which is a little bit tangential to the actual movie itself, is I found what is the deal with Oscar season and then like somebody being in multiple movies, multiple like Oscar movies of the year. Willem Dafoe, Ron Perlman.
What else? Oh, he was in Don't Look Up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bradley Cooper's got 2 or even 3 that are in something going on Oscars wise.
What else was he in this year?
Let me see if I can.
Oh, he was in Licorice Pizza.
That's
right?
the one. Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't seen that, but
it's such a strange phenomenon, though. Like, I feel like that it always happens. It happens every year. Which, like, there's so many actors. Like, why?
That's true. I remember a few years ago. Was it Shea Wiggum? Because he was in what's it called with Bradley Cooper in American Hustle, and he was in something else I think that came out that year as well. That was an Oscar as well, and I don't think he was nominated for either role, but it's like again like somewhat prominent like secondary roles that he was in at like the same time.
So weird. It's a strange thing. I also want to circle back to Mary Steenburgen because I feel like we'll probably I don't know how much more like she's not. It's a small part. It's just a very
she's in 2 scenes,
intense scene. But also Richard Jenkins and Mary Steenburgen are both in this movie, and
I definitely thought about it. I was like, oh man, they don't even have a scene on screen together.
Keep your liver spotted heads up my mother, you geriatric fuck.
It's great too because it's not even like it's an Adam McKay movie where like he would have casted like the two of them. Right. Like it's Guillermo del Toro. Richard Jenkins obviously was in The Shape of Water with like for him. I don't know if Mary Steenburgen has been in anything.
No, I'm not sure. Before. But we got the character.
Well, it's like, can we stick on Jenkins for a minute? I don't know how much more time we'll spend.
Yeah, let's hang out here.
He's obviously got to go into our comedic actors that can be cast in a drama, right? I never saw The Shape of Water, but I'd heard he was good in that too. Was he nominated for that one, actually?
He may have been. That was a good... I really enjoyed Shape of Water, and even
I
Michael Shannon.
Did kind of always want to get around to that one. I never did, but wasn't he nominated for supporting actor in that?
He may have been. I'm going to see if I can I'm pulling him up to see if I could find.
But
do we have a similar thing for the actor page about the awards?
Yes. If you click on him, you'll see nominations and wins.
Oh my God, it's an even smaller banner. Let's see here. Best supporting actor. He won.
Oh, he won. I couldn't remember.
Please hold. Nope, that is the AARP Movies for Grown-Ups Award. Sorry,
that's a confusing category because wouldn't it be really weird if it was the AARP like Movies for Children award? Like
he best perform. He was nominated for it.
Yeah, I thought so. So yeah, I guess I should have realized, but I never saw it, so like I couldn't evaluate for myself like that phenomenon. But obviously, it had to have been pretty obvious he was a comedic actor who was doing a serious role and very well. But it is that thing, right? He's his like the pathos of like the characters that he's able to play. Like you can see even in comedic roles how he would be able to manipulate the audience to feel something as opposed to just laugh. Um, and this role obviously really fleshed that out. Where you just totally hate him because he's such a prick early on,
Yeah.
and then for a minute you start to feel for his humanity, and then he flips the switch again, where it's like, oh, like yeah, you want us to feel bad for you, but you're still a terrible person.
Yeah,
like
the worst. Yeah, he played a really great like elite scumbag.
Yeah, and like like vile, like
Yeah.
not just like a detestable person, a terrible person.
And that's an interesting thing too, right? With if you think about what's his name, Stanley, Bradley Cooper's character, is this Stanton? He's not really going after like the people that he's going after. Like it's fine, like you can go after.
Yeah,
them.
he's decided to be like a barnacle on the underside of the rich and distasteful people.
Yeah,
right? Like he's not scamming some poor guy out of his last $2. Like he's going after the elite of. Well, I guess they never said where they were, but Chicago, I assume
it was Chicago. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's going after like the elite, like rich and powerful people of Chicago. Like no one's gonna shed a tear if one of them gets bilked out of $1,000.
Yeah.
Like everyone's gonna be okay in this situation.
Yeah, it's cool because it's funny because I feel like that's the right way to do a story like this. Otherwise, otherwise I feel like you would get so detached from the main character.
Well, I think he's curious, right? Because the viewer kind of goes on a roller coaster watching this movie, like with that character and how their relationship to the character. Because we're first introduced with him dragging a dead body and burning a house down. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, that doesn't seem great, but you can't rule out that maybe it could have been in self-defense.
Sure.
Like you didn't see how he killed him. Mm-hmm. And, maybe he's just covering up because he's afraid he's going to be accused of a murder where maybe it wasn't, or maybe he's a psychopath and he killed this guy and he's burned down the house. You don't know.
Right.
But, you're at least led to be suspicious of him early on. And then you're left to more or less empathize with the character after that because he's on hard times. He's on the run. He's taking a shit job in a shit place. Mm-hmm. And he's pretty much at rock bottom. He shows the slightest bit of compassion to this terribly haunted and tortured geek before then bashing his brains in. And it's like, okay, like you like what are we doing? Like I'm suspicious. I feel sympathetic. Now I'm like, oh wow, maybe he is like a cold-blooded killer. Yeah. And then he comes back again and it's like, okay, no, like he's a person. Like he does some human things. Like he's trying to learn and do better. He takes an interest in someone and he seems to be a wholesome-ish relationship to start. Mm-hmm. And he makes friends with people and he seems to be taking care of the person. And it's like, okay, yeah, no, I can get on board with this. Like he's done some bad things, but he's trying to make right. And then his friend shows up dead under suspicious circumstances. And was it intentional or accidental? It was like the Prestige, which knot did you tie? Right. I don't know, right? It was like, well, which alcohol did you give him? I don't know.
Yeah.
Even though, when what the level of attention to detail this character has always had.
And he did it.
Like he had to have.
Right.
But there's still that 1% doubt.
And and I think operating in that gray area is what makes the character and the movie so compelling, right? Is because underneath all that, like he's not just a blatant, like this is just a bad guy. It's not that simple. And I think that there's also a commentary on just humans in society, right? Like that there's like this guy leans towards the shady, right? The darker side of the gray is where he is at, but there's something like we're all human. We all do things that are not necessarily great, mm-hmm. and we all do plenty of things that are well intentioned. And like, I think that maybe that's what's so captivating about it. It's like he's just a person.
Well, even take his killing of his so-called friend. Even that, when you peel back the layers of it, is much more complicated than what meets the eye, right? Because mm-hmm. you can take it like layer by layer by layer. He killed his friend because he's a psychopath. Like, the way he goes about it is kind of a psychopathic mm-hmm. way. It's like, okay. Or maybe he made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he killed his friend because he's trying to get that book that he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he killed him out of mercy because he wants to end his friend's pain and suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
and release Xena.
maybe it's all of these
Yeah.
things. Or maybe it's none of these things. Maybe there's some other motive we haven't even like identified there. Like just that one pinch point of all of those different things compressed in there is incredibly compelling and complex and tough to parse. Like there is no one true right answer.
Yeah, no, it really is fascinating. I liked the relationship building between him, Pete, and Xena. It was such a strange place when it starts, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, because he walks in and are the two of them married? Or they
right?
just
And then there's
is
the weird
like
bathing scene, and it's like,
well, what I was gonna say is like I couldn't even tell the dynamic at first because like
Mhm.
it's like, oh, are they married? Is he just another guy who's like trying to like mooch off of the one who clearly is like the highest of all of them because
Mhm.
she's the only one with the house? Then it's like, okay, they're probably married, and then she starts jerking him off in the bathtub, and it's like, what
yeah,
is going on? What the fuck is going on
so
here?
weird, so bizarre. But it's like I think so much so that like I think that Pete, his name's Pete, right?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
think he knows that he knows he's an alcoholic, and he knows he's no good like to for Xena, but he loves her and she loves
Mhm.
him. But I think that he's okay with her doing her own thing.
Well, I think he's appreciative of the fact of how much she takes care of him,
Mm-hmm.
and so he has kind of a small man complex that doesn't allow him to be the best that he can be
Mm-hmm.
in that relationship. And so it's like, well, I can't be good enough for her. So if she needs to pursue some angle of what she needs in her life that I can't give her,
Right.
I'll let her do that, and not begrudgingly either. Which is a really tough place to be in mentally, but because then even on the other factors, maybe his own self-loathing gets to the point of the masochistic where it's, well, let her go find what other satisfaction she needs from someone else, but that makes me hate myself so much that I'm going to drink even more than I was originally. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, but like that certainly would be feasible to me, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. And then we have this interesting dynamic between
Also,
Stanton.
honestly, I mean, like this is a bit biased because I've already talked on the show some. I know you haven't watched The Expanse. I said this. He played one of my absolute favorite
Oh,
characters on the show. He's a tremendous actor.
Yeah.
And he did it in fairly limited screen time. I think he did a tremendous job.
But I agree. I think he was great. That's
Like on a per screen time like evaluation might have been the strongest of the whole cast. It's just not a ton of screen time, obviously.
yeah. Well, there's something. It's funny because like without diving deep, like you wouldn't have anything to say, right? It's like this character is there doing his thing. I believe it, and you move on. And I think that in itself is like real skill. Like you never question him, his intentions, or like you just understood enough about this man and who he is and the relationships that he has from the minimal screen time that he had. And like that really is a testament to the performance and the
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah, well, yeah, the two in hand. He was probably perfectly cast and married to that character that was written so well.
Yeah.
For such a limited amount of screen time, was written so efficiently, so perfectly well.
Yeah. Well, I liked I liked Stanton and his relationship, like Pete teaching him some of the ways, right? And like I thought there was something interesting about him showing him the book, and then like when Stanton grabs the book while he's passed out, he seems like bothered by it, but like protective of it. It was like that was an interesting dynamic that, and
well, because it's tough to tell. Is he more protective of the book or is he protective of Stanton? Because it's definitely both.
and I went back and forth on that. I feel like it was more the latter. I feel like it was. I'm showing you how to do this stuff, but like
he's looking in the mirror of what could be him 20 years ago.
Heavy stuff. For sure. Yeah, it's really, I don't know, it was really good. And I guess
which like that goes to what I've read of the original movie, right? Is that what's his name doesn't just become the geek. He basically comes back and becomes Pete, and what's her name takes care of him in the same way that Xena took care of Pete. That was the way the original movie ended, I think.
Yeah, I've read it, like I read what happens like when I finished this, so I don't really fully recall, but I do remember there being differences. I like the idea of him coming back as the geek, and the way in which that like maniacal laugh, like I'll be the best at this, like I'll do it, because his character understands, he remembers the conversation he had, he knows.
Oh, I thought that was incredibly powerful. That was why I chose that as my line for the intro today.
Yeah,
I was born for this.
Yeah. Oh, it's
heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's bone chilling. I actually had that. I had that written down as like that final moment. I just remember like this movie is like whatever grade I feel like that you give this type of movie, or this movie specifically. I feel like when that line delivers at the end and the credits roll, I feel like you bump it up a whole point, just like from like wrapping it all up and putting that bow on it. Like it's really it's well done. It's funny. I'm very fond of it, the way that I'm speaking of it. I enjoy a lot of the performances. I enjoyed the way the story came full circle. But I can't, for some reason, go. I wasn't compelled to give it any more, like on my scale, than a 7. There's just something that I wasn't. I don't know what it is, and I can't quite.
You've hit the thing that we've discussed. We've kind of talked around in the past, where I can see intellectually all of the pieces here of what makes a great movie. It just didn't click for me specifically.
Yeah,
like that's where you're at.
Yeah, and like it. That's the thing, though. It clicked for the most part. Because I think it's a really good movie. I'm not convinced we're like in Oscars territory for Best Picture.
Oh, see, I disagree, because from the movies I've seen so far, this would be my choice.
That's cool. I forget which ones you've seen.
I forget too, just because I forget what was nominated for what now. But
Belfast is currently my front
I still haven't been able to see it. I know you said it for whatever reason. I went on last week and I was trying to use Flix, and it's all, everything is loaded there. Like I can see everything you've put on there recently. Nothing is playing off.
Oh, weird.
Though. Yeah, I don't know why. And like, it's not like my internet connection was no good or anything. And it wasn't just that movie that like I went and clicked a couple other things and none of them would play. I don't know why. So
bizarre.
That app is so finicky for me. It drives me nuts. Yeah. Maybe it would work on my computer. I don't know. I have generally had better results with the computer than the TV. So
gotcha.
Maybe I'll give that a try. But yeah, I do really want to watch Belfast, and that could end up taking the cake for me if that was how it ended up going down for me. I'd have to. I mean, like the best picture nominees. I know we've talked about it a bunch of times, but it all starts to blur for me after a certain point. So I've seen Nightmare Alley, Don't Look Up, Dune, Power of the Dog. So I've seen 4 of the 10 nominees. So this would be in first place for me of those.
Yeah, I guess that's fair, because like even in looking at these, of the ones that I've seen, I'd probably do Belfast. Nightmare Alley would be probably the second one, followed by Dune, then Don't Look Up.
To your point,
and Power of the Dog is not even on the list. Shouldn't be here.
I say to your point, this isn't a super strong class of nominees this year.
No. Well, I can't say for sure because I haven't seen them all yet. Belfast to me felt like it was the one of the ones that I've seen that I was like, I get it. Like this is absolutely nominated. Like it's a I feel like it's an important story. It's a well structured story. It's like it's got so much heart, and the performances are fantastic. I feel like it has the full thing that it needs to have.
Yeah.
No. You know what? Also, it could be, as far as we said, like it doesn't click for me. The dark, just like the very drab, dark movie, I feel like can only go so high on my personal scale.
Yes, to the point of, if we want to compare it to last week's movie, where there's nothing that lends it, it's just depressing for depressing's sake. This is dark and depressing, but also thrilling and riveting. Like there are other emotions that it elicits from you at some point or other, even if the overall tone is one of such like just dark and dire circumstances.
Yeah.
Hell, there was even a couple of moments of levity in the movie.
But overall, like I said, I mean, I think a 7's a really good score, right? I really did think it was a good movie. It's just not my pick for this year. But at the same time, I'm not offended if you pick it, whereas I am offended if you pick The Power of the Dog.
Yeah. So we haven't really talked about Kate Blanchett yet.
Yeah,
I want to talk about that relationship.
she's just like the devil, and it's like so like this temptress. Like,
Well, yes, but also even she, although probably the most subtle of all the characters, has her own sympathetic human
sure,
side too. That's as much as you just want to hate her outright, because it's no matter how much you detest the protagonist, you're forced as the viewer to quote unquote root for him
hmm
as like the propulsive mover of the story, right? What's going to happen next?
yeah,
And so obviously you're going to be drawn towards rooting against her because she's an impediment to him achieving
right,
the propulsion of the story. And yet, even still, it's easy to paint her as like just the outright villain. But I still, to an extent at times, especially kind of like the middle of that act, I really did feel for her when you see the scar,
hmm
and it took a little while for it to click for me exactly what was going on with all of that. And then when it did, I was like, "Oh, I see where this is going now." And up to a point, because I didn't expect her to rip him off in that way.
hmm
Not that I thought necessarily that she actually loved him, but I thought that would be more melodramatic how it all played out.
yeah,
Not so cut and dry, psychopathic. I got you, motherfucker.
right.
Um, what about you? How did you feel about that whole arc?
Yeah, I agree. Kind of similar to many of the other characters. It's like they'll do something where you're like, well, that's shitty. You're shitty, except you're human and you have experiences that made you who you are and got you to where you're at. So like there's that interesting aspect of it. And then like you said, you feel for the character in certain moments. The only one that that gets like major spotlight that I don't feel that way about is the Richard Jenkins character, right? Like for a moment,
Like I said, for 10 seconds,
yeah,
about 10
you
seconds.
think that, but it's like, oh no, then they turn around. It's like, oh no, pure, like no, just bad. And the reason I feel like they did that is so that you could really just enjoy his face getting pummeled in.
Yeah.
But no, I Kate Blanchett's character was like, I don't really have any strong opinions on her as an actress. I know that she gets a lot of credit, and like people are like, there's a lot of fanfare around her. Never really been like, I want to see the new Kate Blanchett movie. There's nothing. I've never really been like a super fan or anything. I don't think that she's a bad actress or anything like that. It's just I thought this was a really good performance. It was a strong performance, but it wasn't like, I don't think it stood out more so than any of the other ones of the movie. I think that Bradley Cooper's performance stood out significantly from everybody else, but he is also the lead, right?
Yeah. She was another one in the Strathern mold, more screen time than him, but super efficient with her time
Mm-hmm.
on screen. I haven't really seen any of the movies where like she's the star of. It's always been her in like smaller
Is she
roles.
a weaving
Also,
type?
well, I mean, she did play an elf in Lord of the Rings, so but like for a lot of my life, that was really like all I had seen her in. And then like, I mean, I guess she plays a pretty good villain in Indiana Jones.
Hmm. Well, she's another one that was in 2 Oscar movies.
Yes, I was just thinking that too as I was starting off my point on her. Yeah, because and she was actually really
She is
great.
great in Don't Look Up.
And playing totally against type as I think of her,
Right.
because I've always expected her to play something more like this, like the
So it's dark and mysterious, right?
yeah, and always like like stern and imperious. Not to rhyme with you intentionally.
I love it though. Let's keep that going. Can we rhyme for the rest of the
show? But yeah. But when she lets her guard down and she's vulnerable, there's 2 specific scenes that are obviously so inextricably linked. When she calls him to tell him what the next job is going to be and who it's going to be, and she breaks, maybe the only time she shows, like I said, well, those 2 scenes really where she shows who she actually is, or shows like a human side of herself. I'll say she calls him to tell him to watch out, maybe to sit this one out involving the Richard Jenkins character, because he's very dangerous. And I was like, oh, okay, so like he's got a reputation or whatever. And then there's the scene where the 2 of them first actually become like intimately involved, and she shows him the scar on her chest. And I was like, oh wow, that's quite a scar. And then when Richard Jenkins starts talking about when he pulls the mask back off again and shows you what a piece of shit he is. And he talks about hurting women. I was like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Mhm.
That
it's like agendas
so
galore. Like,
yeah. Well, but agendas in, she's possibly probably sicking Stanton on him,
Mhm.
but at the same time, showing that she's dealing with her own trauma because of that, which
Right.
is so, like, eminently human.
Yeah.
But even there, like, when we talk about layers of motivations, right? Like, she wants to protect him to a certain extent because she feels something for him, but ultimately her true goal is to show him up because he showed her up. And it's funny, of all of these complicated games that everyone's playing, power dynamics, hers is the pettiest motivation of all. You embarrass me slightly at a society party, and I'm going to literally bend you over and fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll bend you over the barrel and show you the 50 states.
yeah, and not in a good way. It's like, oh boy, does anyone get more? Like, we were worried about Richard Jenkins being a psychopath, about Bradley Cooper being a psychopath, any other number of characters, Willem Dafoe, Tim Blake Nelson at the end in the 5 minutes of screen time he has, and she is the most psychopathic of all of them. And yet I kind of get it. Like, there has to be a certain level of her that was already a cruel and manipulative person to begin with, but when you add that level of trauma onto her on top of that, it makes it such a layered character where it's impossible to tell where her nature begins and her trauma ends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love how everybody's so shady and so mysterious, and you get enough information out of each, like to accept like the story and where it's going, and I guess it makes it compelling and entertaining to watch. I'd be curious on a rewatch how exciting or interesting the movie is, like knowing their motivations, because I still feel like the performances probably still stand on their own, where like you'd be an entertaining watch like in a couple of years.
I think two things. One, even though I think we picked up on a lot of the little nuances, I'm sure there are other little layers of detail that foreshadow even more that we missed early on in the movie. That would be fun to pick up on now that we're not trying to grab every little thing to understand the plot of the movie. And two, the performances and the characters all together are really so strongly written that there's little depths to that to be plumbed as well on a second watch.
Yeah.
I think the rewatchability on this would be decent depending on your tolerance for... I mean, I guess it wasn't like gory throughout, but there's some gross.
It's just a very dark movie. So like sometimes I'm just not in the mood to have that like depressed
that too.
Thematic experience.
You could probably chalk this one up slightly to like I'd held up with like Logan, where it's like I don't really need that energy in my life as much as I respect how great the movie is.
Great movie. I'm not watching it again.
Yeah, like it's I got what I needed out of it. It's and this one to a certain extent is similar. I think there's more. It lends more to a rewatch than that, just because I think there are some little details I could glean from a second watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we haven't even talked about Molly too much, but like that character is such a heartbreaking character where you just want to like put your arms around her and be like, it's gonna be okay. Like everyone, I feel like we were all Ron Perlman. Like, no, she's been through enough. Like, she's a good person. Like that could have broken her and turned her into just as much a piece of shit as everyone else is in this world, and she's like the only one who's still
just hanging out,
some sort of pure,
likes chocolate,
like intention.
Yeah,
just like the next closest is probably Xena, and even she's like cheating on her husband, but like that's the worst of her offenses, really. Like overall, she kind of lives within her means. She's scamming people a bit, but that is like the point of the act, which kind of going into it for the most part. She kind of does it the right way, like where she really pays her dues over and over and over again before she gets to hit it big.
And plus, a little bit of the code of like how far they're willing to go. Just they know they can make money and go nuts by going overboard with what they're doing, but they also know that there's a humanity side to it where like they shouldn't go too far. Yeah,
they walked up to the line, realized that it was too far, and then stepped back, and then throwing like the final like cherry on top of like her character, like she is genuinely caring for that man who needs to be taken care of. Like that, mostly selflessly, right? She's not really getting anything out of that relationship at that point. She's still caring for him because who else was going to?
Yeah, man, it's a good one. So it was a good watch.
What did you feel about? We talked about the roller coaster of Stanton's character. When we finally get the reveal, because we had snippets of it, when we finally get the reveal of that dead body and where it came from and what the origin of all that.
Yeah, I think that's a great, like, just focusing on that as a, like, that one piece kind of brings to light everything, right? Every character in the movie, like, at face value, the thing you're doing is bad, but I think that was like everything's a but. Here's why. Doesn't mean that it's any less bad. It's just here's why, and it's a little bit you earn a little more empathy, like, with each detail of the story that you get, like, that it's given to you after the fact. It's like I kind of like the execution of, like,
Him?
here's something that wow, here's something that happened.
You left the door open for me for way too long.
The execution of, like, here's what's gonna happen. Here's what happened. Okay, this man probably murdered this one. Let's pass judgment. This man probably murdered this guy. Cool. This man definitely murdered the guy. Okay, great. What a dick. This man murdered the guy because of how horrible he was. Like, it's like, oh, interesting. And, like, you, like, have to. It's like, yeah, it's like let's line it up. These people are terrible. They're awful. They're doing the worst things possible. Here's the reason. And it's like, well, shit, you weren't supposed to tell me that part. I was all on board for crucifying this guy, you know.
And that's why I found, like, the character in the movie so fascinating. And I was talking about this, constant, like, ping pong, this roller coaster of, oh, okay, I get it. To, oh god, that's not great. To, oh, okay, I get it. Even in that scene, oh, dude, you murdered your dad.
Yeah,
and, like, in as brutal way as possible, you literally froze him to death and watched him, like,
took
that
his blanket. You straight
hours.
Up took his blanket and you wore it and you watched.
Yeah, but then it's like, oh, but he also abused the fuck out of you for your whole life. Right. It's like, okay, I don't have to condone this, but I get it.
Yeah, exactly, right? and that's the thing. It's at the end of the day, they're not trying to change your opinion of how, like you could still, like, yeah, like, you murdered someone, bad, but here's why, and, like, just now you have to live with that bit of information too in your judgment that you passed.
It's devious, right? Because it's one of those situations where we have too much information.
Yeah.
It's like, no. I wanted to either love or hate this character, and you keep giving me more and more information, and I don't know what to do with this, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Do I love him? Do I hate him? Pass. I neither him. I nothing him. What do I do?
And I mean, he also, like, he murdered him, and then he set him on reverse fire. I don't know if you noticed that, but like, the fire was burning in reverse, and it made it so creepy and eerie and weird.
It was like that scene in Deus. Wasn't that the thing that happened when they killed the guy, but then they faked his murder to make it look like the suicide?
I think what happened in that were the flames were doing the same dance on repeat.
Yeah.
This was the flames were burning backwards.
Okay, how about this? Minority Report. Same thing. Murdered someone, then faked the murder to cover up the first murder, and the ripples were going in the one way, but then they were going the other way because it was still not exactly the same, but kind of.
I vaguely remember
similar.
that. Yeah, this was just an art thing. It wasn't actually, we weren't playing with time.
Yeah,
but I thought it was cool. I think it's like there are certain things that he does for.
So even that was sort of playing with time, if I remember, because he's dreaming. And doesn't the dream kind of loop? So,
maybe
not a time travel situation, but just they were playing with the conventions of how you remember something because you're going through it in your head, over and over again.
It's funny. I get that. That's kind of cool. That's a cool way to look at it. I will say, with a Guillermo del Toro, like, there's a certain line between the weird stuff that they do and then the weird for weird's sake. And I feel like it was like, as they shot it, it was like, this looks cool. Must be weirder. And, like, just play that scene backwards and it's a wrap.
I will say, though, as much as you maybe somewhat misguidedly criticize it for not being unoriginal, because you said at the time you didn't realize it was a remake, it also somehow was so unmistakably his movie.
Mm-hmm.
He was he managed to inject enough Del Toro-ness into it where it's like, it doesn't matter who made this movie originally. This movie is so inextricably linked with
Oh,
Guillermo del
absolutely.
Toro. Like, no one else could have made this version of this movie.
Like mostly, and like for two things that, in particular, one, the everything at the carnival, right? Like it's just like
Yes.
straight up his style, especially Jar Babies. Like it's all Del Toro. And the other thing that I've come to notice about his movies, hallways. He has a hallway style, and
Yes, because like all those hallways could have been taken out of The Shape of Water.
Yeah,
and Hellboy probably too, to a certain extent.
I'm sure, and probably whatever else, anything else he's done. It's just there's a
certain
I will say some of tightness and shoot that they do in the halls that is just straight up his work.
I will say some of the Chicago scenes could have been made by Baz Luhrmann. That's the only other person who could have kind of sort of made this movie. Didn't you get kind of that Gatsby vibe?
I got the Gatsby vibe from definitely from like the show at the hotel and
like some of the costume, like what Kate Blanchett's wearing at times and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know what got me?
Her office, really, just
her office. That's true. When they're in the hotel room and all the friends have arrived, and he goes order dinner. I remember pausing the movie and being like, man, that just looks like so much fun. Like just being somewhere with all your friends.
Jeez. Somehow, in talking about this movie, that was the darkest thing that's been said.
Ordering food. Anyway.
There's been plenty of that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Everybody was just chilling. Everybody was relaxed. They didn't have anywhere to be. They were just all hanging out, talking.
Were they relaxed though? Because there was way too much tension.
Well, there was only tension once Dipshit arrived, because everybody knows that Stanton is they all like Molly. They all know Molly's a good person. And she's going down a bad path with Stanton. So they were all having a grand old time before he arrived. But then he was like, let's order food. And they were all like, hey! Well, what else you got on this one?
Well, other than just that, we probably didn't properly appreciate enough Willem Dafoe.
Oh, we didn't really talk about him at all.
Just being Willem Dafoe generally.
So Willem.
He is 100% authentically himself at all times in movies.
Yeah.
That's neither a criticism nor a pat on the back.
There's no praise or accolade that goes along with it. He's just Willem Dafoe.
It's neither good nor bad. It's simply Dafoe.
Neither good nor bad. Just simply Dafoe. Simply Dusty. Oh man.
Sorry, that one went over my head.
That was Just Friends. Is there any other kind? Yeah. He is like, and what is his role? Is just exhibition. Like he's just there. He's just telling us some stories. He's letting us know what's going on. Also, let me give you the whole rundown on the Geek so that you can see. This is where the whole movie's gonna go.
I was really confused for a second because
I said
what you meant to say was exposition, and what you said was exhibition.
Yeah,
I was like,
he slowly falling asleep.
I was like, he ran a carnival, so like, yeah, like there were exhibits. That's not sure. How I would have
exhibits for days, actually. Oh, I have one note that I didn't bring up. Why are we keeping the wood alcohol next to the good stuff? Why?
Yes.
Just put it in another room.
Or just on the other side of the room, maybe?
On the other side of the room. It's great.
Like, yeah, that one, that's what I said kind of introduces the 1% doubt of whether or not Stanton did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Obviously, he did it on purpose, but like the 1% doubt is like, why are the two boxes next to each other? Exhibition.
No, the other thing, too, that I thought was funny, in that scene where he was explaining to him the alcohol,
also unlabeled.
That's one. Oh, in that scene.
This is always the one that's on the right, and this is always the one that's on the left. Until the one day someone accidentally goes back.
He's explaining all of that, and I'm like, these are all the questions that are running through my mind. I'm like, okay, unlabeled. Why? Why are they next to each other? That's the other one. And then he was like, something about jingle jangle in the box and the bottle. I was like, wait, are we allowed to have it? We just have to put the money in? And then, like, when Stanton was going over there, I was like, don't take his alcohol. He was very clear about not taking his alcohol. And then he put the money in the box. I was like, oh, is that what he was saying? That it's okay to take it?
Yes. So what he said was, it was like a don't ask, don't tell situation. Yeah. I'm going to put the alcohol there. If you feel like you need to have the alcohol, I don't want to know about it, but I do want your dollars in my box.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I will come and cut your hand off, even though I don't know what's going on.
Right.
It's like, well, I feel like you can't have it both ways,
Mhm.
because unless there's some sort of register for who's taking it, like, or is it just one of those? This privilege will be revoked for everyone, and you're all fucked. You bunch of alky carnies.
Probably
Like,
that.
none of you is getting the alcohol if any of you fucks me, and all of you are gonna like kill each other because all of you is gonna know who did what and who's not paying and this
Yeah.
and that and the other thing. And weirdly, some of them all like somehow they all did seem to like follow the honor system on that. But then he pays for the alcohol, but he takes the so you know, again going to the layers upon layers thing. He paid for the real alcohol, but he gives him the wood grain alcohol.
Yeah.
So is it just a cover,
Mm.
or did he make the mistake? Layers.
Yeah. Like a parfait. More like an onion.
Ogres are not like parfaits; they're like onions.
Yeah. Man. Who else? Do we miss anybody else in this rundown of people?
I don't think so. Tim Blake Nelson. You want to talk about Tim Blake Nelson being 100% authentically Tim Blake Nelson?
Carney Boss?
What's that?
The Carney Boss?
Yeah, the final one at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that oh god, that whole way that it all comes down to the end, it's like so heart pounding. Like it's moving so fast. Like at one point I was like I completely forgot that like not moments ago your ear was shot off. Like this was intense.
Although there had obviously been some passages.
Sure, there was a beard.
A beard and an a stay of undetermined length with a vagrant colony.
There's a John Mulaney skit in there, right, where he was like, but I'm wearing glasses to show that time has passed. I love it. Al, that was a good one.
It was.
And I think that's all for this week. Right?
I concur.
All right. That's all for this week's episode of Flix in the Six. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have a movie for us to review or nuggets for us to discuss, you can send those requests to flixinthe6@thespintune.com. Tune in next week for more movie and beer goodness. Until then, I'm Anthony Costanzo.
And I thought you were going to take my silence for agreement.
Exhibitionist.